Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, everyone. Necromancer, what the hell just wants to plant trees? Chapter 26. Boss. Guardian of the Emerald Dream. Grade, Class, Skill, Undetectable. Look at the attribute panel displayed by the reconnaissance technique. Chang'an's heart jumped suddenly. It is actually a mythical monster whose level cannot be detected. Since mankind entered the era of job transfer for all people, this has never happened before. Because even a level 1 professional uses reconnaissance on a level 70 or 80 monster. At least it can clearly detect the opponent's level and some skills. And now, he encountered a giant dragon whose level could not be detected. It's the dragon's unique ability to prevent detection. Or is this dragon's level just too high? Chang'an pondered this question in his mind. And the giant green dragon came out of the cave. Also, after seeing Chang'an and the Fairy Queen, he put away the huge pressure and said to the Fairy Queen, "Leah, is that you?" It's me, it's me." The Fairy Queen turned in a circle towards the green dragon. "How about it? Do I look good? Isn't it beautiful?" "Very beautiful." As expected of Leah, the giant green dragon praised the Fairy Queen. Then he looked at Chang'an behind the Fairy Queen. "Is he the human who gave birth to you?" "That's right." The Fairy Queen flapped her wings and flew into Chang'an's arms. He said to the giant green dragon with a showy look, "This is my father." Then, the Fairy Queen introduced Chang'an again. "Father, this super big guy. That's my good friend when I was still in the Emerald Dream. Our relationship is great. You will definitely like her." Chang'an nodded. He took the initiative to step forward and spoke to the giant green dragon. "Hello, my name is Chang'an." The green dragon's vertical pupils were bigger than a truck. He scanned Chang'an carefully. A look of human doubt appeared on his face. "Necromancer. Is your profession a necromancer?" "That's right." Chang'an waved his hand gently. The Death Knights and Licks in the summoning space were immediately summoned. On the green dragon's huge face, showing obvious shock, he couldn't help but exclaimed, "Is he really a necromancer? You, a necromancer, actually planted a forest. And he even gave birth to the soul of the forest with his own hands. Human, how on earth did you do that?" Chang'an spread his hands and said helplessly, "I don't know how I did it. It was in that kind of tree that after planting, this little guy suddenly appeared. I thought someone was trying to destroy my forest." Looking at Chang'an, who looked helpless and confused, the green dragon was silent. Listen, is this like what people say? It was born while still planting. Do you know how difficult it is to cultivate a forest soul? Druid groups in many worlds have devoted all their efforts to cultivate them. It also takes more than hundreds of years. Only then can I reluctantly give birth to a forest soul. Even the world controlled by some natural gods, it will take at least several decades to give birth to a forest soul. Now that you are here, how come it was suddenly born just as you were planting? If only those druids and natural gods knew this. Are you going to go crazy with jealousy? And isn't this human being just out of the category of novice professional? How can you summon advanced undead creatures? Not only can you give birth to the soul of the forest as a necromancer, you can also summon undead creatures that far exceed your own strength. Freak. This human is really a freak." Looking at Chang'an in front of him, even the green dragon already has power that rivals the gods. I couldn't help but feel curious and surprised. "Chang'an, right, I remember your name." The giant green dragon gave Chang'an his approval. Then he continued to say to Chang'an, "Leah just got physical. I need to impart some knowledge to her, and give her some ability to protect herself. This time will last about 24 hours, and I won't be able to take care of you. You want to stay in the Emerald Dream and experience the natural beauty of the Emerald Dream. Do you still want to stay here and wait, or let me send you away directly to impart knowledge and give abilities? Is this the job of the Guardians of the Emerald Dream?" Chang'an thought of the name detected by the detective technique. I thought back to the other person's friendly attitude. I didn't pay too much attention to this matter. He spoke directly to the dragon and said, "Can you send me to the area where the druid professionals are? I want to go and exchange ideas on tree planting with those druid professionals." Exchange ideas on tree planting. The giant green dragon couldn't help but feel a strange feeling in his heart. A necromancer went to exchange experiences with druids about planting trees. Why does this matter get weirder the more you think about it? But when I think of the fairy queen cultivated by Chang'an himself, the weird feeling in the giant green dragon's heart disappeared. Come to the Emerald Dream as a necromancer. Exchange tree planting experiences with druid professionals. You should be the first person in history from multiple dimensions. The giant green dragon joked. But he did not reject Chang'an's request. Instead, he stretched out his huge dragon claw and tapped Chang'an gently. The next moment, Chang'an's figure disappeared. And after sending Chang'an away, the giant green dragon looked at the fairy queen and said, "Let's go, Leah, go get the power you once had." Along with the distortion of light and shadow, the scene of spatial transformation appears. Chang'an found that the huge cave, green dragon and fairy queen in front of him had all disappeared. Instead, it's a primitive village full of people coming and going. Residents walking in the village. There are creatures like tree spirits, goblins, and flower fairies. Except for these natural creatures, of course. Chang'an also saw many druids who wore antlers, bear skins, or were decorated with various flowers, plants and trees. Among these druid professionals, Chang'an not only sees people with the same skin color as herself. I also saw black and white druid professionals. But that's not all. Because, except for these 3 skin colors, Chang'an also saw many druid professionals who were obviously not human. For example, an elf with pointed ears and handsome appearance. For example, a dwarf who is only as tall as his own waist and has a thick beard. For example, an unknown race that is just like humans, but has brown skin. And other various and strange races. It turns out that this is the druid in the Emerald Dream. It's not just the professionals in our world. There are many druid professionals from other worlds. Traces of the heavens that penetrate countless worlds. And countless other racial creatures that entered this world from the traces of the heavens. The existence of other worlds has long been proven. The existence of other worlds is also clearly mentioned in the textbooks of professionals. So Chang'an was not too surprised by these creatures from other worlds. I just observed it for a while to satisfy my curiosity. Then he withdrew his gaze. Walk towards the druid professional of the same skin color who is closest to you. Be prepared to know the specific location of the other party, in order to achieve the purpose of purchasing oak seeds and natural essence from the other party. But things are not going well. Before Chang'an could reach the druid he chose, the druid glared at Chang'an with disgust. Then he turned around and left, acting like he doesn't want to have contact with Chang'an at all. What's going on? What does this guy mean? Chang'an frowned slightly. I didn't pursue it too closely. Just think that you have met a fool. So I directly selected another druid, heading towards the other druid. But it's the same situation again. This is the second druid chosen by Chang'an. He also glared at Chang'an fiercely, avoiding Chang'an as if he were hiding from something unclean. What's going on? Is it because of my profession as a necromancer? These druids feel the power of the necromancer in me. So you don't want to contact me? Such speculation came to Chang'an's mind. In order to verify the accuracy of this guess, he continued to walk towards the third druid. The result is still the same. This third druid, same as the previous 2 druids. Avoid Chang'an from afar. I don't want to have any contact with Chang'an at all. The 4th, 5th, and 6th ones behind. All druids chosen by Chang'an. They all gave Chang'an the same response, without any exception. Now, Chang'an's guess was completely confirmed. Gone. Professional discrimination. I have been discriminated against professionally. These druids discriminate against me. Being shunned many times in a row. Let Chang'an realize it clearly. Want to talk to these druids here? It is simply an impossible thing. The only thing that makes Chang'an happy is the natural creatures such as tree spirits, goblins, and flower fairies in this primitive tribe. He didn't show the same disgust as the druid professionals. On the contrary, everyone behaved very affectionately. In the back and forth of Chang'an, he was very enthusiastic and brought all kinds of berries and fruits to Chang'an. It's just that these tree spirits, goblins and other creatures seemed to be very timid. After throwing the berries and fruits into Chang'an's hands, just run away from Chang'an. Hide among the trees and grass to secretly observe Chang'an. This also made Chang'an's originally depressed mood much better. He no longer continued his search for the druids. Instead, he walked toward the natural creatures among the grass and trees. Get ready to play with these natural creatures and learn about the Emerald Dream. But these innocent natural creatures. It seems that this is a game of chase and escape. Every time Chang'an is about to find them, they will fly out of their hiding place screaming and find another place to hide. And once Chang'an stops looking for them, they will immediately run out of hiding. He laughed and threw berries and fruits to Chang'an. It's like continuing to invite Chang'an to play games with them. Let's play with them. After you get familiar with them, maybe we can ask them to introduce me to those druids. This way I can get what I want from the druids. With this thought, Chang'an just started playing with them. But Chang'an didn't know his behavior of playing with these natural creatures in the eyes of the druids passing by. But it became again an evil necromancer chases and persecutes the natural creatures of the Emerald Dream. A necromancer persecuting natural creatures in the Emerald Dream. What a blasphemy! Goddess of nature, why don't you allow us to use force in the village? Oh my God, what did I see? The evil necromancer actually invaded the Emerald Dream. If you have the guts, come and fight with me outside the village. I can't stand it anymore. I'm going to stop that guy. See Chang'an's persecution of natural creatures. Look at those small and pitiful natural creatures. Under Chang'an's persecution, he ran around, helplessly. All the druids were angry. Even if there is a rule in the village of the Emerald Dream that force cannot be used, they still have to take action. Go and stop Chang'an's persecution of natural creatures. Even if you are punished for breaking the rules, you will not hesitate. But just when these druids were ready to take action, a voice suddenly sounded. What are you doing? Why are you all gathered here? Hear the sound of this sound. All the druids stopped. Together we looked in the direction of the sound. I saw a man riding a huge white tiger, his body shining with emerald green light. The whole body exudes the breath of nature, like a beautiful elf loved by the whole nature. Standing behind them, watching them gather together. Moon Priest is here. A druid couldn't help but exclaimed. There are also druids who seem to have seen the backbone. Quickly ran to the Moon God Priest. Pointing to Chang'an, who was playing with the natural creatures over there, he said, Master Priest, there is an evil necromancer there. They are persecuting the natural creatures in the village. Please hurry up and stop him. Do necromancers persecute natural creatures? The Moon God Priest's expression suddenly changed. There is a dangerous aura in his eyes, with extremely strong hostility. Walked in the direction of Chang'an. And as the Moon God Priest approached Chang'an, she felt it immediately too. The aura of death emanating from the depths of Chang'an's body. The aura of corruption of death. It's actually the necromancer. How could the necromancer appear in the Emerald Dream? The Moon Priest was shocked and angry. What is surprising is how Chang'an, a necromancer, can enter the Emerald Dream. The one who was angry was a necromancer like Chang'an. How dare you invade a sacred place like the Emerald Dream? Simply do not take into account all the professionals, creatures and gods in the entire natural system. Necromancer, stop your persecution of these natural creatures. The Moon Priest passed many druids, in a language that Chang'an has never heard of, but can somehow understand. He shouted angrily at Chang'an, a giant white tiger that feels the wrath of its master. Then he let out a low roar, as if he was issuing a warning. Those natural creatures chased by Chang'an. Everyone suddenly stopped and looked at the Moon God Priest with a strange expression. Chang'an also stopped chasing natural creatures. He looked at the Moon God Priest in confusion. Persecution? Are you talking about me? Am I persecuting these little guys? The Moon God Priest looked down at Chang'an. Isn't your behavior just persecuting these poor natural creatures? The evidence is conclusive. Do you still want to quibble? What the hell? Why am I being persecuted? Which of your eyes saw me persecuting them? Isn't it obvious that I'm playing with them? Chang'an was silent for a moment. Finally, he couldn't help but retort. Is there a possibility? Am I playing with these little guys? Play? The Moon God Priest snorted coldly. An evil necromancer plays with natural creatures. Stop making excuses, you are clearly persecuting them. I want to murder them and refine these ignorant natural creatures into undead creatures. Necromancers, a group of people who live with death and the undead. Their existence is a blasphemy to the entire nature. Because of these impressions of the necromancer, the moon god priest was not willing to believe Chang'an's words at all. She stubbornly believed that Chang'an just wanted to murder those natural creatures. Now I just want Chang'an to leave those natural creatures. Then expel Chang'an from the Emerald Dream. The druids following the moon god priest. I maintain the same attitude. So, these druids. They also made their own voices together. Evil necromancer, leave those natural creatures behind. The Emerald Dream is not a place where a necromancer like you can come in. Your existence is a blasphemy to nature. Get out of the Emerald Dream. We don't welcome you. You're not welcome here. Get out. Do you think you can do whatever you want by coercing a natural creature into the Emerald Dream? Impossible. Get out. ... Listen to the sounds made by the druids. Looking at the leader, the weapon in his hand was shining with light and he was making an attack gesture. Chang'an finally understood. These are naturally professionals. He didn't want to listen to anything he said at all. In their eyes, self-rescue is a necromancer. It shouldn't appear in the Emerald Dream. I'm stupid too. Why bother with a bunch of stupid dogs? This group of druids were angry and could not listen to any words. Chang'an had no desire to continue the debate. He shook his head. Communicated with consciousness. When the giant green dragon teleports itself over the power that remains within oneself. Prepare to use this power to teleport yourself out. Go ahead and go back to the real world and plant your own tree. But just when the green dragon power in Chang'an was about to activate, the natural creatures that played with Chang'an before, it's like sensing something, all flew to Chang'an. Or grabbed Chang'an's clothes, or hugged Chang'an's fingers or arms. He shook his head towards Chang'an anxiously. These little guys have quite a conscience. It can be said that I didn't play with them for so long in vain. The performance of the natural creatures made Chang'an feel a little warm in his heart. The dissatisfaction I felt towards the Emerald Dream immediately disappeared. He smiled at the natural creatures around him. He said in a very gentle tone, "Okay, I should go back. When I have a chance in the future, I'll come and play with you again. Maybe if I have a chance in the future, I can take you to my woods to play." Chang'an said goodbye to the natural creatures. Then there were the reluctant eyes of these little guys. Communicated with the teleportation power left by the green dragon in the body. Next moment, Chang'an's figure disappeared. Leave this Emerald Dream. Alright, little guys. The person who threatened your safety has left. You don't have to worry and be afraid anymore. Chang'an's figure disappeared. The moon god priest immediately came to the vicinity of these natural creatures. He comforted these little guys with a very gentle tone. The druids behind her, the faces also breathed a sigh of relief, with a relaxed expression on their faces. But the natural creatures that are the objects of their protection. But all the faces showed angry and sad expressions. Yeah. Whoa. Ah. The natural creatures turned to the moon priests and druids. He let out his own angry shout. Some of these radical natural creatures. He even condensed a magic light group in his hand. He threw it fiercely at the moon god priest and the druids. Bang bang bang. The level of natural creatures is not high. Generally there are only single-digit levels. So although their magic light group looks fierce, it actually hit these moon god priests and druids. It's just a little painful. But there are so many natural creatures. Dozens or hundreds of light groups flew out all of a sudden. Immediately the druids were smashed into a state of disarray. What's wrong with these natural creatures? Why are they attacking us? What are you doing? What are they doing? Necromancer. It must be the necromancer who did it. The attacks from the natural creatures left the druids in a state of disarray. But he still thinks this is what Chang'an did before leaving. Now, the remaining natural creatures that have not taken action can no longer bear it. They all followed the natural creatures that attacked. A ball of magic light was condensed in his hand, and it was thrown towards the moon god priest and the druids. The druids were prohibited from using force in the village. There is no way to retaliate against the attacks of trapped natural creatures. We can only let the natural creatures attack them. All of a sudden, all the druids were smashed and fled away with their heads in their hands. The only moon god priest who can use force to stop these natural creatures. They are also among the attack targets of these natural creatures. And because she took the lead, she also suffered the most attacks. But it's too powerful. It directly made her immune to the attacks of these natural creatures. Don't say you were hurt. Even if it hurt, it didn't hurt at all. She can easily take down these natural creatures and make them quiet. But look at the anger and dissatisfaction on the faces of those little guys. After all, the moon god priest did not do this. Could it be that the necromancer just now really didn't persecute them? But playing with these little guys, the moon god priest thought about it carefully. And the more she thought about it, the more she felt. The necromancer was playing with the natural creatures. There is no sign of wanting to persecute these little guys at all. I misunderstood the necromancer. Kick these little guys away from their playmates. Is that why they are so angry? The priest of the moon who finally figured everything out. My heart was suddenly filled with guilt and self-blame for the natural creatures. And when she wanted to understand all this, somewhere in an unknown world, in the endless silver moonlight, a hazy voice suddenly sounded. The necromancer who cultivated the fairy queen and was blessed by nature. There are really all kinds of magical things in this huge multiverse. I hope that Guyana can figure out what's going on. The Emerald Dream, in an unknown village. The moon god priest who just figured everything out. It was felt immediately. An oracle from the moon goddess she serves. On the outskirts of Fengen City, in the oak forest. Accompanied by a flash of brilliant light. Chang'an, who left the Emerald Dream, returned here. Looking at the familiar environment around me, an inexplicable sense of peace of mind came over me. Although the forest in the Emerald Dream is huge. But after all, it doesn't belong to you. There is only here, only this oak forest. This is the real forest that belongs to you. Plant trees. Keep planting trees. Since there is no way to negotiate with those druids in the Emerald Dream. Then wait until my undead army becomes stronger in the future. Use force directly and kidnap some druids to work for you. At that time, I will see which druid still dares to gasp in front of me. While thinking about what he will do after his undead army grows, Chang'an took all the saplings. All were carried from the wooden house outside the oak forest to the outside of the oak forest. Then, he picked up the shovel he had thrown here before and turned his anger into strength. Plant these oak saplings vigorously. And with the planting of these oak saplings, reminders appeared one after another in front of Chang'an. Successfully planted and survived an oak tree. The power of balance was triggered. 10 skeleton soldiers LV10 were inspired and were summoned to this world by you. Close black lens bracket. Successfully planted and survived an oak tree. The power of balance was triggered. 10 skeleton soldiers LV10 were inspired and were summoned to this world by you. Close black lens bracket. Successfully planted and survived an oak tree. The power of balance was triggered. 10 skeleton soldiers LV10 were inspired and were summoned to this world by you. Close black lens bracket. The cumulative number of planted and surviving oak trees reached 310. The power of balance broke out, and 5 zombies LV20 were inspired and summoned to this world by you. Close black lens bracket. ... Time passed quickly and the sky gradually darkened. When the color of the sky completely dims and darkness covers the earth, Chang'an stopped his planting work, and turned to look at the unplanted saplings next to him. 3 trees. Among the 20 oak saplings purchased from the trading market, 13 trees have been planted so far. There are 3 of them. After dripping the natural essence, it has still not been judged as planted and alive. Judging from Chang'an's past tree planting experience, those 2 saplings will most likely not survive. There is no way around it. These saplings are in the process of being transported. It will always be damaged due to various reasons and thus cannot survive. In fact, the survival probability of this planting today, it's already a very good time. During the previous 3 months, the average number of surviving 10 saplings is 5 to 6. And this is while using natural essences. Without using natural essence, of 10 saplings, 2 or 3 can survive. Otherwise, Chang'an wouldn't have spent 3 months planting 300 trees. The reason why so many survived this time, Chang'an estimates that it must have a lot to do with the fairy queen who was just born today. If it is true that Leah brings the chance of survival, then she really helped me a lot. Chang'an was secretly happy in his heart. The 3 oak trees that did not survive were marked. Wait until dawn tomorrow. Chang'an will uproot the 3 oak trees that have no oak trees. Make needed space for oak saplings that haven't been planted yet. But before that, it's time to go back and rest. Carrying the remaining oak saplings, Chang'an walked towards his wooden house. In Feng'an City, somewhere in an underground darkroom, a group of men in black robes gathered here. On the main seat, the leader is the man in black robe. Looking at the other men in black robes in front of him, he said, "There is an accident in my lord's blood sacrifice plan. The rampage copy that was supposed to arrive did not appear. All the people who went to activate the rampage copy have also died. Your mission is to go here." The leader of the men in black robes pointed to the map. The area where the oak forest planted by Chang'an is located. And continued to say to the men in black robes present, "Go and investigate the location where they perform their mission. Find out how exactly they died. And whether that rampaging copy still exists." Yes, more than a dozen men in black robes responded in unison. Accepted this exploration mission. On the other side of the ocean, there is the defense line area of America's Scars of the Sky. The Mark of All Heavens is an extremely magical place. It floats in the sky like a huge curtain. But what is shown in this curtain? But it is a scene in one world after another. There are worlds where lava is constantly tumbling. There are worlds where the entire world is surrounded by rivers of blood. There are worlds where giants rule. There are worlds where orcs are wreaking havoc. From the traces of the heavens, people can see all kinds of worlds. And if anyone enters it, you will also randomly enter a certain world shown in it. This is the origin of the traces of the heavens. It is also the source of the greatest danger to the world. Because of the existence of the traces of the sky, there are monsters coming from other worlds every moment. Enter this world and attack the defense line established by humans. Today, there is no exception. Ho ho ho. Boom boom boom. Ooh. While the traces of the sky are constantly changing the world scene. Endless green orcs, flooding into this world like a plague of locusts. Constantly impacting the defense line built by humans near the mark of the heavens. And the humans within the defense line showed no mercy. Artillery, machine guns, magic, thermal weapons are displayed together with the power of professionals. Crazy harvesting the lives of those orcs. The war between orcs and humans is in full swing. But while this war is going on, in a corner where no one noticed, the moon god priest that Chang'an met in the Emerald Dream world came to this world quietly. "Your Majesty, the great moon goddess, I will follow your guidance and go to explore the secret of the Necromancer." The moon god priest glanced at the war in the distance. She didn't get involved. Instead, he activated the power of the moon god to hide himself. Then, she directly crossed the defense line of the marks of all heavens. She started moving in the direction guided by the moon god. Outside the oak forest, in Chang'an's wooden house, Chang'an finished washing and lay on the bed. Didn't go directly to sleep. Instead, it opened its own properties panel. Open black lens bracket, name close black lens bracket, Chang'an. Occupation, Necromancer. Level LV20, 0%. Open black lens bracket, power close black lens bracket, 200. Stamina, 200. Agility, 200. Intelligence, 220 plus 20. Spirit, 220 plus 20. Free attribute points, 200. Talent balance only. Characteristics, Lord of Death, Lord of Life, Shelter of Life and Death, exclusive and unique. Equipment, Shaman Staff, Ancestral Ring. Because the previous battles did not require you to do it yourself. The 200 free attribute points obtained by upgrading Chang'an is not used at all. Now, it's time to use up these 200 attribute points. But, before that, there is one more thing to do. That is, Chang'an took out the runaway copy at the end of the level. 5 huge experience balls obtained through clearance and settlement rewards. Let me see. How much experience can these huge experience balls provide me? Pick up one of the giant experience orbs. Chang'an chose to use it. A prompt panel appears immediately. You used a huge amount of experience balls, you gained a huge amount of experience, and your level was raised to level 21. Close black lens bracket. After level 20, the experience points required for each level of the profession have been increased again. If we say, each level before level 20 takes about a week. Then after level 20, each level requires at least half a month. No luck. It's normal to be at level 1. This huge experience ball can increase one level. This is equivalent to directly saving about half a month to a month. It is indeed a huge experience ball. This provides a lot of experience value. Chang'an's expression perked up. Continue to pick up the remaining 4 huge experience orbs you choose to use. You used a huge amount of experience balls, you gained a huge amount of experience, and your level was raised to level 22. Close black lens bracket. You used a huge amount of experience balls, you gained a huge amount of experience, and your level was raised to level 23. Close black lens bracket. You used a huge amount of experience balls, you gained a huge amount of experience, and your level was raised to level 23. Close black lens bracket. You used a huge amount of experience balls, you gained a huge amount of experience, and your level was raised to level 24. Close black lens bracket. After level 20, each level requires too much experience. Chang'an used 4 huge experience orbs in a row. The level finally stayed at level 24. And after level 20. Attribute improvement at each level. The attribute improvements brought about are also different from those before level 20. Chang'an is now level 24, not counting the attributes provided by the equipment. Each attribute reached 260 points. The free attribute points have also increased by 15 points. Average conversion. Each time you advance to a level, all attributes were improved by 15 points, and 15 free attribute points were obtained. It is 1.5 times that before level 20. Just say. At level 60, there will be a professional advancement similar to the level 20 professional specialization. After career advancement, attribute growth and free attribute points for each level will be greatly improved again. I'm only level 24 now. Level 60 is still some distance away from me. So, let's take care of the present first. Take back the thoughts that were let out. Chang'an looked at the 260 free attribute points he had. It has the characteristic of being a refuge between life and death. Chang'an doesn't have to worry about being approached by the enemy and executing beheading tactics. You don't need to add free attribute points to the 3 attributes of strength, physical agility, and improve your self-protection ability. But put all free attribute points, if all is allocated to mental and intellectual attributes. At least when Chang'an uses Legion enhancing skills, play a more powerful amplification effect. So, after some thinking, Chang'an took the 260 free attribute points in his hand. All are equally divided into mental and intellectual attributes. And with the fall of these 260 free attribute points, Chang'an's attributes become: name, Chang'an; occupation, Necromancer; level, LV 24, 47.59%; power, 200; stamina, 200; agility, 200; intelligence, 350 plus 20; spirit, 350 plus 20. Next, besides planting trees, you can also see if you can encounter a few more rampaging copies. I'll try my best to get myself a complete set of gold or dark gold level equipment. Furthermore, it's time to get some death crystals and natural crystals to learn skills. Take a look at the properties panel after you add the points. Chang'an lay on the bed and started planning for the future. Planning. Chang'an gradually closed his eyes and fell into sleep. And shortly after Chang'an fell asleep, a flash of emerald light suddenly flashed. The figure of Fairy Queen Leah appeared in Chang'an's wooden house. Father. Leah, who returned to this world, was about to shout. I saw Chang'an lying on the bed and falling asleep. The words that reached his lips stopped immediately. She carefully flew to Chang'an. Father, you have really worked hard today. Leah kissed Chang'an gently on the face. Then he lay in Chang'an's arms, falling asleep with Chang'an. Early morning, Chang'an woke up from a deep sleep and looked out the window. The sun is shining brightly outside the window and there are no clouds in the sky. Apparently it's another great day to plant trees as much as you like. A new day, a new beginning. Keep planting trees and work hard to become stronger. Strive to become number 1 in the world as soon as possible. The energetic Chang'an cheered himself up. Then get ready to get out of bed. Start planting trees today. But not before he could take action. I heard a voice outside the window. "Good morning, father." This sound. Chang'an stuck his head out of the window to take a look. Sure enough, outside the house, I saw the fairy queen Leah floating in the air. "Leah, why are you back? Didn't that giant dragon in the Emerald Dream say it would take you 24 hours to finish?" Leah raised her head vigorously. His little face was full of pride and he said, "What 24 hours? It doesn't take so long. I am the fairy queen, an absolute genius. I was back last night. Came back last night. Doesn't that mean it only took less than 10 hours? Just learned something that the green dragon expected to take 24 hours to learn." "Really? Then Leah is really amazing." Chang'an echoed the compliment. And threw a reconnaissance skill towards the fairy queen. "Boss. Fairy queen. Open black lens bracket grade. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket skill. Close black lens bracket. Tip. This unit is a friendly unit. Close black lens bracket. ... Look at the attributes displayed by the reconnaissance technique. Chang'an couldn't help being stunned. What's happening here? Why did Leah learn from the giant dragon for a while? It has also become the same as the giant green dragon before, and it is impossible to detect its attributes. Chang'an was very surprised. While Chang'an was surprised, Leah, who was used by Chang'an with her reconnaissance skills. It's like sensing something. He suddenly looked at Chang'an. "Father, are you using probing abilities on me?" Chang'an was shocked. "Did you feel it?" Leah nodded vigorously. He said with a very unhappy face. "This feels so uncomfortable. I hate this feeling. If father wants to know my abilities, I can just show them to you." "Stop using this probing ability on Leah, okay? I know. It won't happen again." Chang'an quickly spoke out to comfort Leah. And made his promise to Leah. And Leah was coaxed happy by Chang'an. He soon looked happy. Showed his property panel to Chang'an. Open black lens bracket name close black lens bracket, Leah. Occupation, fairy queen. Level 10 king, 0%. Strength 500. Stamina 500. Agility 550. Intelligence 600. Spirit 600. I just looked at Lilia's basic attributes. Chang'an's mind was filled with doubts. What the hell? What the hell is this? Minimum attribute 500. The highest attribute is 600 points. Is this an attribute panel available at level 10? The attribute values of my level 24 professional. It's less than half of Leah, a level 10 unit. Chang'an felt a little unacceptable. But when I think of the ordinary lord level, it can deal with several to a dozen professionals of the same level at the same time. Chang'an becomes acceptable again. After all, it is one level higher than the lord level boss. A king level boss that can control countless lord level monsters to launch invasions. It's not surprising to have such a basic numerical value. On the contrary, it would look strange if it didn't have this value. After convincing myself in my heart, Chang'an's eyes continued to look downward. Look at Leah's talents, characteristics, skills and other attributes. Talent, fairy queen. Open black lens bracket effect close black lens bracket. 1. Within the scope of the forest, all natural creatures such as elves, goblins, tree spirits, and tree ants have all attributes plus 100 and level plus 5. 2. Within the forest area, it is easier for natural creatures such as fairies, tree spirits, and tree ants to be born naturally. ... Characteristics natural divine power. Open black lens bracket effect close black lens bracket. 1. Based on the forest area and preparation quantity, natural treasures such as natural crystals and natural cores are regularly condensed. The current number that can be condensed is 1 natural crystal 1 day. 2. Natural treasures such as natural crystals and natural cores can be consumed to transform trees into natural creatures such as tree ants, tree spirits, and fairies. If the target has been enlightened, it can be strengthened, up to the lord level or its own level -5. ... After reading Leah's talents and special abilities, Chang'an has only 2 comments. Awesome. It has the characteristic of natural divine power. Leah can easily create a large number of natural creatures. Then cooperate with the fairy queen's natural ability. Put this army of natural creatures. Create a powerful natural biological army. Just give Leah some time. In the future, when Chang'an needs to lead the undead army out. No more problems with birthing forests. You can rest assured and leave the task of protecting forest safety to Leah. Leah, you're awesome. The safety of our forest from now on depends entirely on you. Chang'an hugged Leah fiercely. Like holding a doll, Leah was lifted high. And Leah was also very happy to be praised by Chang'an. Laughing happily in the air. After a long time, Chang'an finally calmed down. Put Leah down. But Leah didn't seem to be satisfied with this. Chang'an just put her down. She flew over again and hugged Chang'an's hand. He looked at Chang'an with expectation and said, "Father, come again. I still want to lift it high." Chang'an didn't let Leah get her wish. Instead, he touched Leah's little head and said, "It's time to plant trees. After I finish planting the tree, I will come and play with you." Plant a tree. Leah was slightly startled. Immediately, a more positive expression appeared on his face than Chang'an. Okay, let's plant trees. I like planting trees the most. Let's go plant trees quickly." Leah did not let go of her embrace. Instead, he continued to hold Chang'an's hand, dragging Chang'an towards the forest. Don't worry. Let me bring the saplings and seeds first. Get saplings, get seeds, plant trees." Leah immediately changed direction. Even more eager than Chang'an, he flew to the saplings outside the wooden house. Then, there was only Leah, who was the size of Chang'an's palm. Just like this, a whole sapling was dragged into the air. "Father, I'm going over first. You have to come here quickly with the shovel and seeds." Finished. Leah just pushed the sapling in her hand. Flying towards the forest. "It seems that I need a lot of little helpers to plant trees." Chang'an shook his head in amusement. Then he picked up a few bags of oak seeds and a shovel. "Follow Leah and walk towards the forest. After a while, everything is ready." Chang'an picked up the shovel in his hand. It was inserted hard into the soft soil. The hands holding the handle of the shovel tightened again. A large ball of soil was separated from the ground. Start by pulling out the 3 oak saplings that didn't survive yesterday. Chang'an's tree planting work continues. At the same time that Chang'an began to uproot the non-surviving saplings, Leah brought all the saplings here. Then he ran to the deepest part of the oak forest. Found the first oak tree planted by Chang'an here. "Dashushu, you have to grow up quickly. Work hard to grow up. Grow to tens of meters or hundreds of meters tall. It's like playing with children." Leah sat on the branch of this oak tree. Talked to the first oak tree planted by Chang'an. And it was under this behavior that was like a child playing house. The first oak tree planted by Chang'an. It's like it's really come alive. Even if there is no wind blowing. The big crown of the tree was still trembling and rubbing slightly. That's it, planting trees in Chang'an. During the conversation between Leah and Oak, the time came to noon. Chang'an covers the mound around the sapling with the last shovelful of backfilled soil. Then add a drop of natural essence to the rhizome of the sapling. A reminder immediately appeared in front of Chang'an. Successfully planted and survived an oak tree, the power of balance was triggered. 10 skeleton soldiers LV10 were inspired and were summoned to this world by you. Close black lens bracket. Phew, it's finally finished. Look at the saplings placed before. The space is now vacant. Chang'an breathed a long sigh of relief. The saplings have the same chance of survival today as they did yesterday. It has reached 70% to 80%. Of the 9 oak saplings planted, a total of 7 survived. It is precisely because of these 7 oak trees. The number of oak trees in the oak forest in Chang'an's hands has reached 315. All the best saplings have been planted. Next, it's time to plant the seeds. Pick up the shovel in your hand. Chang'an is not like planting saplings, digging deep holes one after another. But after digging 4 or 5 times each time, just move to another place and continue digging. Compare that to digging deep pits for planting oak saplings. This excavation process is undoubtedly much faster. So, it's just a matter of time. Chang'an dug more than a dozen small pits. Then, Chang'an tore open the packaging bag of oak seeds. An oak seed was thrown into each small hole. But after throwing the seeds into the small pit, Chang'an did not backfill the excavated soil. Instead, we continued to take out the natural essence. A drop of natural essence was dropped towards one of the small pits where the seeds were placed. Drop. Green liquid falls on round oak seeds. Oak seed immediately felt like he had taken some magic elixir. In less than a second, it broke the shell and sprouted, and a bud the size of a thumb grew. Hey, the first seed actually sprouted. It seems that you are very lucky today. A smile appeared on Chang'an's face. Then the soil dug out next to it was backfilled. But even at this point, this sprouted oak seed. But he still hasn't been recognized by his balanced talent. A pop-up message indicating successful planting and survival. Because even the seeds have sprouted, you may not be able to grow up 100%. So, after backfilling the soil in, Chang'an unscrews the natural purification lid again. A drop of nature's essence dropped into the place where this seed is. The essence of nature falls into the soil. Emerald green light flashed past. The next second, fresh green shoots stretch out the soil. And in the blink of an eye, it has grown to a size of 10 centimeters, vaguely looking like a sapling. But this is not enough. Even the seeds have grown to this extent. The balanced talent still does not pop up a prompt for successful planting and survival. And this was what Chang'an expected. Because in the previous 3 months, every time Chang'an plants oak seeds, this is how they all came about. Therefore, Chang'an, who has accumulated enough experience, pick up the natural essence without the lid again. Towards the oak tree sprouts that have grown to some size. A drop of natural essence. The natural essence of emerald green falls on the oak buds. Not even the emerald green light appeared. It was completely absorbed by the new oak buds. Oak sprouts that absorb the essence of nature. It also started growing rapidly again. It was just a matter of seconds. The new oak buds have grown and matured. It became a sapling that was almost the same as the oak sapling Chang'an planted before. It was at this time. The tips for balancing talents finally appear. Successfully planted and survived an oak tree, the power of balance was triggered. 10 skeleton soldiers LV10 were inspired and were summoned to this world by you. Close black lens bracket. Finally grown. Chang'an's spirit perked up slightly. Planting oak seeds is much more difficult than oak saplings. At least 3 drops of natural essence are needed every time. Talent can grow to the point where it is recognized by the balanced talent. Want to increase the number of oak trees with oak seeds? You must consume a lot of natural essence. There are only 20 drops in a bottle of natural essence. The selling price fluctuates between 5,000 and 10,000 Kyushu coins. With the little savings in Chang'an's hands before, there is simply no way to use so much natural essence to induce the growth of oak seeds. This is why Chang'an spent the past 3 months. There was no mass planting of seeds. But the reason for planting as many oak saplings as possible. But it's different now. I have more than 100 million in funds in hand. I can make this natural essence at will. I'm not just going to plant all the saplings I can get my hands on. I will plant all the seeds in the future. Chang'an made a passionate declaration in his heart. But he did not put all his treasure on oak seeds. The reason is simple, except that the amount of natural essence that needs to be consumed is extremely high. Oak seeds also have a much lower chance of survival than oak saplings. During the previous 3 months, when all the oak saplings are planted, and there are times when you have a lot of natural essence in your hands. Chang'an also has the idea of planting oak seeds. But unfortunately, inside 100 oak seeds, in the end, only 30 to 30 oak seeds will germinate. Except for those 20 to 30 oak seeds. Other natural essences dripping on oak seeds. All wasted. This is not because the people selling these seeds have bad intentions. What I got for Chang'an were some low-quality seeds. It's not like the people selling the seeds are doing anything secretly. Simply because of the scars in the sky. Because of the various energies pouring into this world through the marks of the heavens. The survival probability of plant seeds in this world is generally low. 20% minus 30% chance of seed survival. This is the most normal chance of survival in the world. So, until this problem is solved, want rapid and stable expansion of oak forests. Oak saplings obtained from elsewhere are essential. Just, after having the natural essence, Chang'an can do as much as possible. Grow more oak seeds into saplings. Keep up the good work. Use all these natural essences on your hands first. Then continue to harvest the essence of nature. Look past the oak seed that has just grown into a sapling in front of you. Chang'an continued towards the second small pit with oak seeds. Drop. The essence of nature drips onto the second oak seed. But the oak seed did not grow into a bud as before. Instead, he lay motionless in the pit without any reaction. It looks like a dead seed. Chang'an picked up the seeds in the small pit and threw them away. I also took out an oak seed and put it in. In this way, Chang'an planted all the saplings. Planting of oak seeds continues. At the same time Chang'an started planting oak seeds. Oak Grove Center. The first oak tree planted by Chang'an. Leah was still playing with the oak tree in its canopy. But right now, buzz buzz, a strange trembling sound sounded. This is the first oak tree planted by Chang'an. The entire tree was shining with emerald green light. Ha ha ha, I succeeded, I succeeded. See the emergence of this emerald green light. Leah cheered happily, and amid Leah's happy cheers, the emerald green light gradually dissipated. When all the emerald green light dissipates, one has a handsome face, but has green skin. There are only vines and flowers covering the vital parts of the creature. Come out of this oak tree. Hello, friend Dryad, welcome to the material world. I am Leah, the queen of this forest. What's your name? The green-skinned Dryad had just stepped out of the oak tree. Leah quickly flew over and held the Dryad's hand enthusiastically. And the tree demon whose hand was held by Leah, after curiously observing the surroundings, he focused his attention on Leah again. He asked with a confused look on his face. What is the material world? As for the name, I don't have a name. Do you want to give me a name? It turns out to be a newly born tree demon. A smile appeared on Leah's face. This is the world outside the Emerald Dream. You here will have a real entity. You can really taste the berries and fruits. A smile appeared on the Dryad's ignorant face. So this is the outside world that everyone talks about. It looks great. Can you take me to play? Sure. Leah laughed and responded. I will take you to have fun in this forest. But before that, we have to go and see Father. Father. The Dryad tilted its head. He looked at Leah in confusion. Leah responded immediately. Just plant you in the ground. The one who gave you birth in the Emerald Dream. The Dryad's face showed a look of expectation and longing. Is it him? Can I really see him? Of course. Just follow me. Leah held the Dryad's hand. The two little guys flew into the air together. Fly quickly in the direction of Chang'an. After a while, Leah and the Dryad together, arriving above Chang'an where oak seeds are being cultivated. Look, that's Dad. Leah pointed at Chang'an happily. Indicate Chang'an's presence to the Dryad. And seeing the tree demon after Chang'an, he also put his hands on his flat chest. I feel it. The one who made me born. Father. He is the father who brought me into this world. A glance at Chang'an. The tree demon realized the connection between himself and Chang'an. She was accompanied by Rhea. He flew to Chang'an as quickly as possible. Then he rushed into Chang'an's arms with excitement and shouted. Father, I can finally touch you. I'm so happy. Chang'an was completely stunned. What happened? What's the situation? What is this situation? Why did another little guy pop up and call me father? Could it be that he is another little guy like Leah? Think of this. Chang'an was confused and couldn't figure out the situation. Couldn't help but look at Leah. Leah also spoke very consciously. The first oak tree planted by your own hands, her father. With my efforts, she successfully escaped from the Emerald Dream. Come to the material world and become a tree demon. The first oak tree I planted. It turns out that this is the relationship. It seems like this. This little guy calls me daddy just like Leah. That's not a mistake. Only, after Leah came out, she called me father. This little tree demon also called me father after he came out. Could it be that tree monsters, goblins, tree people, etc. will be born from this oak forest in the future? Everyone will call me father, right? Man, I don't even have a girlfriend yet. A lot of sons, daughters, etc. are going to appear first. Chang'an was speechless for a while. I couldn't help but want to say something. But before he could speak, the tree demon in his arms raised his head first. Curiously, he pointed to the oak seeds in a small pit nearby and asked. Father, what are you doing? Plant trees, don't you see? Chang'an looked confused. What, you Dryad born from a tree? Can't even see such a thing as planting a tree. But, If you plant trees, why use such seeds that cannot germinate? I also want to use seeds that can germinate. It's not that you can't see it, etc. Chang'an looked fiercely at the tree demon in his arms. You can tell which seeds are going to germinate. Which seeds cannot germinate? The tree demon nodded. Of course, isn't this a simple thing? Chang'an is overjoyed. The biggest problem with growing your own seeds. There is just no way to tell which seeds can germinate. Those seeds cannot germinate. You can only try the stupidest way. This results in wasting a lot of natural essence. And now, I have a dryad that can tell whether seeds will germinate. Doesn't this mean, can I completely avoid this part of the loss in the future? You can really tell which seeds are going to germinate. Which seeds won't germinate? Chang'an couldn't help but ask again. The tree demon simply took action directly. From a packet of seeds lying nearby, carefully selected a dozen seeds and handed them to Chang'an and said, "If father doesn't believe it, you can try it yourself. These seeds are sure to germinate." "Okay, then I'll give it a try." "Just do it." Chang'an immediately took action. One small hole after another was dug. Then put the seeds given to you by the tree demon into these pits. Then towards one of them, a drop of natural essence. Emerald green light flashed past. A touch of green buds emerged from the oak seed that has absorbed the essence of nature. This oak seed was selected by a dryad. It is indeed a seed that can germinate. It seems that this little tree demon can really detect seeds. Chang'an was already sure of this in his heart. But it didn't end there. Instead, he continued to drip natural essence into the second one. Same as the oak seed before. This second oak seed was selected by the tree demon. Also after absorbing the natural essence, delicate and green new shoots have grown. Chang'an still didn't stop, but continued to drip the third seed, the fourth seed, the fifth seed. In the blink of an eye, more than a dozen seeds were all dripped with natural essence by Chang'an. And none of these seeds disappointed Chang'an. Every seed broke out of its shell and sprouted new shoots. This time, Chang'an completely believed in the tree demon. "Little guy, you really helped me a lot." Chang'an happily touched the dryad's head. He complimented the tree demon well. Then he said to the tree demon, "From now on, I'll leave it to you to help me choose the seeds, okay?" The tree demon nodded vigorously. "I will try my best to help father." Acts of intimacy and requests for Chang'an. The tree demon seemed to be very useful and didn't resist at all. Leah, who was watching all this, was also very happy. The new friends you cultivated for yourself. Happy to be recognized and needed by Chang'an. But soon, she seemed to remember something. He also flew to Chang'an and said, "Father, she was born in the Emerald Dream not long ago. I haven't even had time to name myself yet. So, come and give her a name." "No name. Pick a name." Chang'an lowered his head and looked at the tree demon. The expression on the dryad's face was one of excitement and anticipation. She seemed to be looking forward to the name Chang'an gave her. As a result, Chang'an began to think carefully. What a name to give your little tree demon. After a long time, Chang'an thought of a name. He pointed to the new shoots in the pit. He said to the tree demon in a consulting tone, "You solved the problem of seed germination for me right after you were born. The connection between us also starts from here. In this case, your name is Yaya, the sprouting Ya. What do you think?" "Yaya." The dryad thought about the name given by Chang'an. Then he nodded vigorously and said, "Yeah, my father's name is very nice. My name will be Yaya from now on." Seeing Yaya happily accepted her name, Leah next to her also followed. He happily congratulated Yaya. "Great Yaya, you have your own name now. To celebrate you getting a name, let's go to the forest and play hide and seek." Hide and seek. There was some emotion on Yaya's face, but she suppressed her heartbeat and shook his head to reject Leah's invitation. "I'd love to play hide and seek with you, but I would rather stay and help my father choose seeds. So I'm not going to play hide and seek." Leah was not upset after being rejected. On the contrary, it was like being reminded by Yaya. Still laughing and saying, "Then let me help. We helped my father select seeds together. Then plant trees together and make our forest bigger. Grow bigger than the Emerald Dream. Hey, these two little guys. It's really cute, watching jumping up and down. Two little guys who went together to help them choose seeds." Chang'an had a doting smile on his face. There are two such cute little guys here. Why do you feel that the work of planting trees is originally very boring? Suddenly it's not so boring anymore. Chang'an shook his head. The mood is very happy. Dig those out of the soil. Backfilled into the soil pits that had sprouted. Then continue to drip natural essence. Accelerate the growth process of those new shoots. Let these new shoots come one after another. Grow into an oak sapling recognized by the talent of balance. After a while, all the sprouts of more than a dozen seeds have grown. It has reached the level of being recognized by the balanced talent. Chang'an's eyes looked the same as before. One prompt after another popped up. Successfully planted and survived an oak tree. The power of balance was triggered. 10 skeleton soldiers LV10 were inspired and were summoned to this world by you. Close black lens bracket. Successfully planted and survived an oak tree. The power of balance was triggered. 10 skeleton soldiers LV10 were inspired and were summoned to this world by you. Close black lens bracket. Successfully planted and survived an oak tree. The power of balance was triggered. 10 skeleton soldiers LV10 were inspired and were summoned to this world by you. Close black lens bracket. Look at the prompts in front of you. Feel the soil beneath the forest. There were hundreds of extra skeleton soldiers and some walking corpses. Chang'an is full of satisfaction. Planting trees can accumulate undead souls and become stronger. Who wants to go through the painstaking grinding of monsters and upgrades? Teacher Yi, although I'm sorry for your painstaking advice. But let me go through the hard work of spawning monsters and upgrading. I really can't do it. Chang'an is in the heart. He apologized to Yi Lingyan, who had been trying so hard to advise him. Then he shouted stop. Leah and Yaya sorting oak seeds. Leah, Yaya, it's noon. I'm going back for lunch. Do you want to go back with me? I want. Leah flew out first. I also want. Yaya quickly followed Leah. The two little guys flew to Chang'an together. Okay, then let's go back to eat together. Just like that, I took the two little guys Leah and Yaya. Chang'an returned to his cabin. I carefully prepared my lunch. While Chang'an carefully prepared lunch, on a hill some distance from the oak forest, more than a dozen men in black robes. I am also observing the situation in the direction of the oak forest here. Did you see anything? I don't think there's anything unusual in this forest. A man in black robe asked the other men in black robe around him. The other men in black robes present shook their heads. I didn't see anything strange either. There's nothing but the cabin outside the woods. I know that person. He is the Necromancer Chang'an who made the whole city famous 3 months ago. Could our missing person be related to that Chang'an? Can't, he's just a level 1 Necromancer. How could it be related to him? Whether it's relevant or not, we'll find out if we go over and catch him for interrogation. After a dozen black-robed men discussed each other for a while, a unified consensus was reached. Go over and catch Chang'an and interrogate Chang'an. Use this to find clues related to the missing people. So, after reaching a unified consensus, more than a dozen men in black robes took action. They took out their weapons. He rushed towards the cabin without any cover-up. In their eyes, Chang'an is a lamb waiting to be slaughtered without the power to fight back. Any one of them, Chang'an can be easily taken down. Interrogate the information they want from Chang'an. Then there is no more. These dozen men in black robes have not yet rushed near Chang'an's wooden house. Undead creatures guarding the cabin. I could feel the malice emanating from these men in black robes. Death Knight, Lich, Ghost. A large group of undead creatures whose level far exceeded these men in black robes emerged and launched an attack on them. Just a meeting. More than a dozen men in black robes killed all the undead creatures, whether they were serious or not. Chang'an cooking in the wooden house, as well as Leah and Yaya, who were watching Chang'an's cooking curiously. I don't even know that someone launched an attack here. Until Chang'an prepared lunch and finished the meal with Leah and Yaya. When I went for a walk outside the cabin to eat, only then did he finally see a dozen men in black robes lying near the wooden house. And after communicating with the undead stationed around, only then did I realize that these people came here with malicious intent towards me. What's going on? Why did the man in black robe appear again? 3 dead men in black robes appeared in my forest yesterday. Why did more than a dozen men in black robes appear here today? And you came here with malicious intentions. Are they here to find the 3 men in black robes yesterday? Chang'an made some guesses in his mind, wondering the reason for this. Leah and Yaya didn't care about these dead men in black robes. Compared to these dead men in black robes, have fun with Chang'an. That's what deserves their attention. Therefore, the 2 of them just glanced at the men in black robes. They each held one of Chang'an's hands, inspiring Chang'an to go for a walk with them. Chang'an could only give up thinking about these men in black robes. Bring these corpses to us and bury them in the forest to use as fertilizer. Then, meet these men in black robes next time. Don't kill them all, leave a few alive for me to capture. He gave this order to his undead men. Chang'an went to play with Leah and Yaya. And the undead who received Chang'an's order, it also emerged from the soil again, and dragged the bodies of these black-robed men into the forest. Dig a hole for them and bury them in it. More than an hour later, more than a dozen men in black robes were all buried in the forest and turned into fertilizer. Chang'an played with Leah and Yaya for more than an hour. Also returned to the edge of the forest again. Take the oak seeds that the dryads identified that can germinate. Get ready to continue planting trees today. But before Chang'an could take action, a reminder appeared in front of Chang'an. A large number of corpses are buried in the forest, and the powerful breath of death stimulates the explosion of natural and life forces. Your balance talent has undergone new changes. Tip: due to the explosion of life force, in the next 24 hours, for every oak tree you plant and survive, you will receive 1 strengthening point. Tip: enhancement points can be used to enhance undead and natural creatures. This enhancement includes but is not limited to level, attributes and rank. Tip: strengthening points can be used on forest trees. After use, various phenomena will occur, including but not limited to the growth of tree age and the birth of natural creatures. Life force explodes. Can you get strengthening points by planting trees? Did I inadvertently develop a new use of the balanced talent? Look at the prompts popping up in front of you. Chang'an couldn't help but feel excited. I feel that I have developed a hidden effect ability of the balanced talent. If this is really a new ability to balance talents. Chang'an's eyes flickered slightly. Professional education comes to mind. The traders who have taken refuge in other worlds, the cultists who believe in evil gods and demons have been mentioned before. And those traces that pass through the heavens. Monsters from other worlds pour into this world. Monsters that come out of the dungeon will not leave real corpses behind, they will only turn into starlight and dissipate. But this won't happen. If killing people and burying their bodies is really a way to trigger the special effect of the balanced talent. These people and creatures are the best targets for burial. In Chang'an's mind, one idea and arrangement after another flashed through. But soon, he stopped this behavior. Whether this guess is accurate or not is something that will happen in the future. As for now, it's better to plant trees properly first. Grow as many oak trees as possible. Let's get these strengthening points in hand before we talk. Chang'an quickly picked up the shovel. In the morning, saplings were planted in more peripheral areas. I dug quickly with shovel after shovel. There are only 24 hours. You must seize this opportunity well. With this thought, Chang'an in 10 minutes, a dozen or so soils were dug out where oak seeds could be placed. It takes almost a minute to dig a suitable planting hole. Then he continued non-stop. Pick out the oak seeds before budding. Pick out these oak seeds. Throw one by one into the planting hole and backfill with soil. Finally, Chang'an picks up the natural essence that she carries with her. The essence of nature drips down towards these planted oak seeds. After a while, more than a dozen oak seeds all took root and sprouted. At a speed visible to the naked eye, they have become qualified oak saplings that can survive. And with these oak saplings growing wildly, Chang'an also got his wish before his eyes. System prompts appeared one after another. Successfully planted and survived an oak tree. The power of balance was triggered. 10 skeleton soldiers LV10 were inspired and were summoned to this world by you. Close black lens bracket. The balance talent successfully absorbed the life force of the imbalance explosion and condensed 1 strengthening point. Close black lens bracket. Successfully planted and survived an oak tree. The power of balance was triggered. 10 skeleton soldiers LV10 were inspired and were summoned to this world by you. Close black lens bracket. The balance talent successfully absorbed the life force of the imbalance explosion and condensed one strengthening point. Close black lens bracket. The cumulative number of planted and surviving oak trees reached 350. The power of balance broke out. 4 ghosts LV30 were inspired and were summoned to this world by you. Close black lens bracket. ... Prompts that keep coming. A smile appeared on Chang'an's lips. I'm going to plant 100 trees today. Encouraged, Chang'an made a declaration. Then with ever-increasing enthusiasm. Continue to devote yourself to the work of planting. ... In the oak forest, while actively planting oak trees. He is taking Yaya with him. Leah, who cultivated the second oak tree. Suddenly it seemed like I felt something. The small body suddenly shrank into a ball. Made a strange cry. Oh oh oh, so awesome. Father is so awesome. It actually increased so much at once. Power. I feel power. Continuous power. These powers are being poured into my body fiercely. Amidst Leah's shouts, the level above her attribute panel. It is growing by leaps and bounds. Level 11, level 12, level 13. And as her level increases, Leah's various attribute values. Crazy growth also began, but Yaya didn't know all this. There was a strange expression on his face. He looked at Leah with confusion. I don't know why Leah suddenly started going crazy. Out of concern for friends, Yaya couldn't help but said to Leah, "Leah, how did you?" Yaya didn't finish her question. Because she was only halfway through her words. She is the same as Leah. I feel a force surging inside my body. Leah is the soul of the forest and represents the entire forest. Her strength increased and she became more powerful. Nature will also give back to the entire forest. And if it is under normal circumstances, Leah's response to the forest, it should be distributed equally to every natural creature born in the forest. But now, in this forest, there is only Yaya, a natural creature. Thus, Leah gives back to the entire forest. About half of them were concentrated on Yaya. Therefore, Yaya is also the same as Leah. Feel the growing strength. Her level and attribute values on the attribute panel. It also started to grow like crazy. After a long time, Leah was back in the air. At this time, although her strength is still growing, but it won't be like before. There is an obvious reaction due to the increase in strength. She is back to normal. It was almost at the same time that Leah returned to normal. Yaya also returned to normal state. She looked at Leah, who was with her. He said with excitement on his face, Leah, I have become stronger. I feel like who I am now. You can kill a skeleton soldier with just one punch. What about you? You must have become more powerful, right?" Leah raised her head. He said with pride on his face, "I am very sure of that. Now, let alone kill the skeleton soldiers. Even the undead like Darth Vader and Lich. You will definitely not be my opponent." Amazing. Yaya looked into Leah's eyes. There was an obvious look of admiration. Leah immediately raised her head even higher. Even more proudly, he boasted to Yaya about his power. Simple Yaya is also for this reason. And I admire Leah even more. But this was not enough for Leah. After harvesting Yaya's admiration well, Leah took Yaya's hand and said, "Father must not know that we have become more powerful. Let's go find Father. Give it to Father to make us stronger. Let Father praise us properly. Okay, let's go find Father quickly. I want my father to praise me." Yaya nodded vigorously. Accepted Leah's proposal. The two little guys were laughing and joking again. It flew in the direction of Chang'an. But they didn't get what they wanted. Because the two of them had just appeared in front of Chang'an. He was caught by Chang'an, who only wanted to plant trees. "Leah, Yaya, you came just in time. I just need your power. Come on, Yaya, go over and divide the seeds. Leah, I'll dig the hole, and you help me put the seeds in. Let's plant trees together. Try to plant 100 trees for him within 24 hours. Leah and Yaya are natural creatures. When it comes to things like planting trees, it's natural to be supportive." I was coaxed again by Chang'an. They were just two little guys who wanted to come over and ask for compliments. Naturally, he would not refuse Chang'an's invitation. Instead, he happily joined in. That's all. The two little guys came happily to look for Chang'an. Inexplicably, he became Chang'an's free labor force. Follow Chang'an. Make your own contribution to the expansion of this forest. And amid the hard work of Chang'an and the other three, time soon came to evening. Father, do we want to go back for dinner? I looked at the sky that was gradually darkening. Leah, who is sowing seeds behind Chang'an. I couldn't help but ask Chang'an. Have a meal. Chang'an glanced at Leah. He took another look at what popped up in front of his eyes. Tips for summoning undead and gaining power points. The decision came to mind immediately. Leah, do you still remember the bread I left at home? Go get the bread. After we finish eating the bread, let's continue planting trees. A look of disappointment suddenly appeared on Leah's face. He looked at Chang'an pitifully and said, "But, I want to eat the dinner cooked by my father." The words just fell. Yaya was accompanying me to help. He quickly echoed and said, "I want it too. I want it too." Yaya also wants to eat the dinner cooked by father. Chang'an is a little soft-hearted. I couldn't help but want to agree to them. But he quickly put the thought out of his mind. He touched Leah and Yaya's heads. He said to the two of them in a soft tone, "Be good, be obedient. After we finish planting the trees, I'll cook you a sumptuous meal. At that time, whatever you want to eat, I will make it for you. Let you eat as much as you want. Eat as much as you want." The disappointment on the two little guys' faces immediately disappeared. Looking at Chang'an with bright eyes, they asked together in a tacit understanding, "Really? Of course it's true. Great." The two little guys hugged each other and cheered. Then while shouting, "For father's feast," while happily flying towards the wooden house. Next, we have to solve the problem of night lighting. This is outside Feng'an City. Electricity and lighting facilities do not have access here. So at night, it gets dark. This is why Chang'an has never planted trees at night before. But now, in order to be able to do it within these 24 hours, get as many strengthening points as possible, Chang'an has made his decision. Even at night, keep planting trees. And want to plant trees at night. The first thing that must be solved is the lighting problem. As for the solution, after Chang'an pondered for a while, he gave an order to the undead under his command. Next moment, dozens of ghosts floated into the sky together. A faint white light emanates from the translucent spirit body. The light emitted by dozens of ghosts converged together. Although it is still not as good as the lighting effect of electric lights, but it is used for basic lighting. It is still possible to allow Chang'an to continue planting trees. I didn't expect that my flash of inspiration could actually work. Not bad. The needles are good. I'll call you ghost lamps from now on. I'll call you when I need you later. Chang'an picked up the shovel very satisfied. Continue to start your own tree planting work. Chang'an works tirelessly while planting. In an underground secret room somewhere in Winskar City, a group of men in black robes gathered together again. All destroyed. The people I sent to investigate. Everyone's soul lamps were extinguished, and no one survived. The man in black robe who sent his subordinates to investigate. He looked at the leading man in black robe and asked, "Chief, we have to continue sending people. Go to that place to conduct reconnaissance." The leading man in black robe was silent for a long time. Then he finally spoke out and said, "No need. What you have is our most elite cultist in Winskar City. They have all been wiped out. Sending others over will have the same result. Unless we send a large number of believers to attack." All the men in black robes present were speechless. It is impossible to send a large number of personnel to attack. The city guards of Winskar City are not blind. It's okay to send people in and out for investigation on a small scale. I really dare to send out large-scale personnel to storm a certain place. Feng'an City immediately had the opportunity to dispatch its entire army. Catch them all in one go. Unless it's a matter of life and death. Otherwise, it would be absolutely impossible to mobilize manpower on a large scale. This is something that all the people in black robes present know very well. However, even though all our men were wiped out twice, but Winskar City probably hasn't discovered us yet. Otherwise, our people in the city guard wouldn't have received any news at all. So, our plans continue as normal. But don't do anything except what's planned. The leading man in black robe said to everyone present. 1 week. In 1 week, the strongest troops sent from the headquarters will arrive. They are all above level 50, very close to level 60 first-class experts. After they arrive, we will take down Windscar City in one fell swoop. Sacrifice the millions of people in Windscar City to my lord. All the men in black robes present nodded. Agree and accept the arrangement of the leading man in black robe. Outside Fengen City, around the oak forest. The dark night gradually turned to hazy gray. Then it gradually brightens from gray to completely clear. By the light of the ghost electric lamp, Chang'an spent the night planting trees non-stop. It will be dawn so soon. He looked up at the already bright sky. Chang'an, who has been working hard all night. I couldn't help but let out a sigh. The night passed. This means that half of the 24 hours has passed. There is not much planting time left. We must work harder to plant trees. He glanced not far away. Lying next to each other and sleeping in a tree, Leah and Yaya. Chang'an tightened his grip on the shovel in his hand. Although I have been planting trees this past night, but due to the improvement in level and the improvement in physical fitness brought about by the increase in attributes, Chang'an did not feel tired. On the contrary, he is still full of energy and vitality. Therefore, after dispelling the ghosts responsible for lighting in the sky, Chang'an continues his tree planting work. The sun gradually rises and the rays of morning light shine down. Leah and Yaya woke up one after another from their deep sleep. They found many berries from nowhere, brought to Chang'an. Chang'an did not refuse. Just after eating the berries brought by the two little guys, so I started planting trees again. But Leah and Yaya couldn't sit still like Chang'an. After putting forward the idea of going to play to Chang'an, they flew into the oak forest together. Chang'an was left to continue planting alone. In this way, time continues to pass. It's the last moment of 24 hours. Life and death are restored to balance, the changes in balanced talents dissipate, and you lose the special effect that can obtain strengthening points when planting. Close black lens bracket. It's over. After Chang'an spent 24 hours planting trees without sleep, the special effects of the balanced talent are gone. Look at the prompts that appear in front of you. Chang'an was originally very energetic and excited. Suddenly I felt a strong sense of exhaustion welling up in my heart. I feel so tired all of a sudden. It seems it's time to go back and take a rest. Chang'an turned around and walked towards the wooden house. Enough trees had been planted in the previous 24 hours. Now, it's time to go back and take a rest. Then prepare the feast that was promised to Leah and Yaya before. But, before that, let's take a look at what I have gained in these 24 hours first. On the way back to the cabin, Chang'an checked it out. What I gained in the previous 24 hours. And tips for balancing talents. It's also very cooperative. A prompt for total calculation pops up. Within 24 hours, a total of 115 oak trees were successfully planted and survived. The current number of oak trees planted and living is 456. Close black lens bracket. Under the explosion of the power of balance, you summoned a total of 1150 skeletons LV10, 55 walking zombies LV20, 12 ghosts LV30, 3 black warriors LV40, and 2 licks. Close black lens bracket. Under the conversion of the power of balance, the unbalanced life force was converted into a total of 135 strengthening points. Close black lens bracket. 115 oak trees, an army of more than 1,200 undead, and 115 strengthening points. That's what Chang'an has gained in the past 24 hours. Chapter 41. 115 trees were planted in 24 hours. This amount is definitely a lot. After all, in the past time, Chang'an only planted 300 oak trees in 3 months. This time it was only 24 hours. It took more than a whole month to plant the oak trees. Of course, the reason why we can plant more than 100 trees at once is this time. Mainly because of 2 reasons. The most important reason. It is the quantity of natural essence in Chang'an's hands that is sufficient. Let him meet the consumption of the growth and sprouting of more than 100 oak trees. It is precisely because of this. After these 24 hours have passed, not only did Chang'an use up all the 15 bottles of natural essences he bought from the market the day before yesterday, even those natural essences that Chang'an had accumulated over time, it was almost exhausted. Now in the hands of Chang'an, there are only 2 bottles of natural essence left. At most, we can only plant a dozen more oak trees. Another important reason. It is because of the existence of buds. Because of her ability to tell whether a seed is alive or not. Chang'an saves a lot of time in identifying seeds. And save a lot of natural essence that should have been used in seed trial and error. Otherwise, we should still plant according to the previous situation. Chang'an even uses up all the natural essence in his hands. At most, we can only plant 30 or 40 oak trees. It is impossible to reach more than 100. The harvest of these 24 hours is rich. But the consumption is also huge. We must replenish natural essence. If you don't add more work on this tree, will have to stop temporarily. Chang'an sighed helplessly. Natural essence is not easy to get. Although the natural essence in Chang'an's hands has always been used to plant trees. But in more cases, generally acts as a druid casting material. It is an important material used by druid professionals to strengthen their natural skills. So few druids would be willing to sell natural essences in large quantities. Only if the druids have plenty of natural essence on hand. Only then will it flow into the market. In addition, it is also because it can promote the growth of plants. Officials often purchase natural essences from druid professionals, used to speed up the growth of food crops. As a result, many druids have natural essences to spare. Usually they will be sold to the official. The two factors are superimposed on each other. Natural essence is not only expensive. The quantity circulating in the market is still very small. This was also Chang'an's time the day before yesterday. The reason why I only brought back 15 bottles of natural essence from the trading market. Now I have the ability to plant a lot of trees. But I'm stuck with the natural essence. We must find a way to obtain a stable and large volume supply channel of natural essences. Or, to get rid of my current predicament of relying heavily on natural essences. Chang'an realizes his current situation, silently jotting down these two thoughts. Subsequently, he looked at the 115 strengthening points he had obtained. For these 115 strengthening points, I spent 24 hours planting trees. Now, let me see this thing. How can we strengthen it? Chang'an's mind moved slightly. The strengthening panel that comes with strengthening points, immediately presented in front of Chang'an, can strengthen undead targets, skeleton soldiers, walking corpses, ghosts, black warriors, licks, death knights. Can strengthen natural targets, Leah, Yaya, Oak. Chang'an clicked on each option in turn to check it out. Found except for Leah, Yaya and Death Knight. All enhanceable targets on this enhancement panel. All are separate individuals that need to be classified into the species. It's not about strengthening an entire group at once. After figuring out the rules, Chang'an first selected his current strongest Death Knight. This time, to strengthen the Death Knight, you need to consume 6 strengthening points. The direction of strengthening will be randomly determined by level and rank. Are you sure? Close black lens bracket. Level or rank? Chang'an's eyes lit up slightly. There is a difference between professional specialization at level 20 and level 21. There are also career advancement differences between level 60 and level 61. If you can get the level randomly, increase the Death Knight's level from level 60 to level 61. The strength of the Death Knight will undergo a qualitative leap. It may not be enough to fight 10 level 60 Death Knights. But it is definitely possible to fight 3 level 60 Death Knights. Even if the level is not randomly reached. Instead, it was randomly placed above the rank. Strengthen the ordinary level Death Knight into an elite level Death Knight. Then this improvement is also huge. It can actually bring about such a big improvement. My efforts over the past 24 hours were not in vain. It's all worth it. Chang'an confirmed this enhancement of the Death Knight. Next moment, a strong death aura rise from the area where the Death Knight is buried. The Death Knight in Chang'an's hands increased from level 60 to level 61. The name also changed from Death Knight to Death Reaper. But the changes are even bigger. Or his appearance. The original lance and saber disappeared. Instead, it's a chilling one. The ghostly purple sickle wrapped around the howling souls of injustice. It just went up a level. Not only has the name changed, but also the appearance. Is this an improvement in career advancement? Chang'an sighed. Then he continued to look at the former Death Knight. The current properties panel of the Death Reaper. Monster. Death Reaper +1. Level 61. Skills: Death Charge, Fatal Strike, Soul Harvest, Curse of Decay. Close black lens bracket. Among the 4 skills, the first 2 are skills left over from the Death Knight era. The effects are respectively increased damage and a chance to cause double damage. The latter 2 skills, it is a new skill after becoming a Death Reaper. The effects are: after killing the target, you will gain some attributes of the target, which can be stacked 10 times in a row until the battle ends. And after damaging the target, all attributes of the target will be weakened by a certain value. If we talk about the previous Death Knights, the strongest point is the one-on-one attack. Then the current Death Reaper. In addition to one-on-one, on a large-scale battlefield, it will also become an invincible existence. Chang'an is very satisfied with the current Death Reaper. But he was not satisfied. Continue. Strengthen it again. Let's see how far it can be strengthened. Chang'an selected Death Reaper again. Prepare to strengthen the Death Reaper. To strengthen the Death Reaper +1 to level +2, you need to spend 14 strengthening points. Since the level is higher than level 60, the strengthening direction will be fixed at the level. Are you sure? Close black lens bracket. Requires 28 strengthening points. The points required for this enhancement. It made Chang'an feel a little painful. But what disappointed Chang'an even more? You cannot level up after level 60 or above. He originally thought that he could rely on these strengthening points in his hands. The level of the Death Reaper has been strengthened to level 70, level 80 or even higher. Now it seems that the only way to strengthen the level is to strengthen it. Confirm the strengthening. Death Reaper +1 level enhancement is successful. Current enhancement level +2, current level, elite level. Close black lens bracket. Successfully strengthened to elite level. There is an additional Soul Siphon skill in the skill bar. The effect is to steal part of the attribute value of the target being used. The next level is the boss level. Continue to strengthen and see. Chang'an chose Death Reaper again. To strengthen Death Reaper +2 to +3 level, you need to consume 28 strengthening points. Are you sure? Close black lens bracket. +1 to +2 adds 8 points. +2 to +3 increased by 14 points this time. What kind of growth pattern is this? Chang'an was a little confused. In addition, 28 points of strengthening are consumed. It also made Chang'an even more painful. But anyway, the current Death Reapers are the strongest combatants in their hands. Spend the enhancement points on the Death Reaper. It's the best choice right now. So, although it hurts a lot, but Chang'an still chose to confirm. Death Reaper +2 level enhancement is successful. Current enhancement level +3, current level, boss level. Close black lens bracket. Death Reaper's skill bar. There is once again a skill called War Aura. The effect is to increase all attributes of nearby friendly units. Continue to strengthen. Fight to get this Death Reaper off my hands. Strengthen into a Lord level boss unit. Chang'an chose Death Reaper again. This target needs to be strengthened by +4. To strengthen Death Reaper +3 to +4 level, you need to consume 56 strengthening points. Are you sure? Close black lens bracket. This time to +4 enhancement. Why did it add another 28 points? Is the growth of this strengthening point irregular? Chang'an was very confused. I'm even more confused about the rules for increasing strengthening points. While not clearing the law of growth of strengthening points, it takes 56 strengthening points to strengthen the Death Reaper to +4. It also made Chang'an hesitate. There are only 115 strengthening points in his hand. 3 previous enhancements to the Death Reaper. 48 strengthening points have been consumed. If you continue to strengthen +4, the number of strengthening points that have been consumed has reached 104. I only have 11 strengthening points left in my hand, even after completing this enhancement to the boss level. And I can't continue to complete the subsequent enhancements to the Lord level. Achieve the breakthrough from monster to boss. Instead of putting all these enhancement points on the Death Reaper, it's better to strengthen some undead creatures. Also, although the Death Reaper is strong, there's only a limit to what a unit can handle. So, instead of continuing to strengthen the Death Knight, it's better to strengthen the strength of the Lich or the Black Warrior. Increase the number of strong men in your hands. By the way, you can also let me figure out the growth rules of strengthening points. Then there's Chang'an looked at Leah and Yaya among the optional targets. Although Leah is a king level unit. But after all, the level is too low. It is only equivalent to an ordinary unit of level 40 to 45. Yaya is just a single-digit ordinary unit. After all, there should be some strengthening points left. Let's improve Leah and Yaya's strength. This is to ensure the safety of Leah and Yaya. Therefore, there is a plan to strengthen the Death Reaper to the Lord level. Let's put it aside for now. Wait until there are more strengthening points in the future. Let's continue strengthening the Death Reaper. There are 67 strengthening points left. Let's see the Lich's strengthening. Close the Death Reaper's properties panel. Chang'an selected one of the 6 licks to strengthen. This time to strengthen the Lich, you need to consume 5 strengthening points. The strengthening direction will be randomly determined by level and rank. Are you sure? Close black lens bracket. Sure, the Lich +1 has been strengthened successfully. The random item for this enhancement is the rank. The Lich +1 has been promoted to the elite level. Close black lens bracket. Did you reach the rank randomly? Not bad, keep going. This enhancement requires 10 enhancement points. The enhancement direction will be randomly determined by level and rank. Are you sure? Close black lens bracket. Only added 5 strengthening points. Chang'an raised his eyebrows slightly. I already have a guess about this strengthening rule in my mind. And selected OK again. Enhancement of Lich +2 is successful. The random item for this enhancement is level. Lich +2 has been upgraded from level 50 to level 60. Close black lens bracket. A level enhancement, directly improved by 10 levels. This level of enhancement is OK. Continue. This enhancement requires 24 enhancement points. The enhancement direction will be randomly determined by level and rank. Are you sure? Close black lens bracket. Is the increase this time 14 points? Chang'an nodded slightly. Already have a thorough understanding of the strengthening rules. He did not strengthen this Lich for the 3rd time. Instead, he chose another black warrior. It was strengthened twice in a row. In these 2 reinforcements, Chang'an finally figured out the rules for increasing strengthening points. The rules are simple. The initial base consumption is 1/10 of the level of the enhanced target. Then strengthen each time. The points required for the next enhancement will be x2 once. +1 is x2 once, +2 is x2 twice, +3 is x3 twice, and so on. Finally, during this calculation process, the level of the strengthened target is divided by 10. Values less than 1 will also be calculated as 1. Take the level 61 Death Reaper as an example. Its enhancement is calculated based on the points required for level 70. And after figuring out the rules for using strengthening points, Chang'an also temporarily stopped using the strengthening points. Leah and Yaya are not of high levels. The consumption of strengthening points is definitely very small. Just strengthen them first. Come back and continue to strengthen the Lich and the Black Warrior. With this thought, Chang'an, who returned to the wooden house, lay on the bed and fell asleep. In Chang'an's deep sleep, night fell quietly, and twilight enveloped the earth. Leah and Yaya went to the oak forest to play for a day. Jumping back to the cabin. Then, the 2 of them saw Chang'an sleeping soundly on the bed. Yaya, be careful, let's not disturb father. Leah made a shish gesture to Yaya. Yaya covered her mouth with both hands. He nodded solemnly, but soon, she seemed to remember something again. He came close to Leah and asked softly, Leah, do you still want to eat our feast? Leah shook her head. Father has been tired for a whole day, so don't disturb him. And we are natural creatures, so it doesn't matter if we don't eat. Yaya covered her mouth with her hands again. He nodded obediently. Yaya was very obedient. Leah nodded with satisfaction. She looked at Yaya and said, however, although I can't disturb my father's sleep, but it's still okay to sleep with Dad. Finished. Leah flew gently to Chang'an. He sat down against Chang'an's chest and made a come quickly gesture to Yaya. Won't father be angry at this? Looking at sitting next to Chang'an, Leah rested her head on Chang'an's chest. Yaya's eyes shined. While I was extremely looking forward to it, I was also a little scared. No, don't worry. Yaya nodded vigorously. Fly to the other side of Chang'an's body. Follow Leah's example and lean on Chang'an. Use Chang'an's chest as a pillow. That's all. The two little guys leaning against Chang'an. Like Chang'an, I also entered the dream. ... It's so heavy. These two mountains on my body are so heavy. When can we get rid of the oppression of this broken mountain? In a deep dream, Chang'an, who was sleeping soundly, found that there were two more mountains on his body. They are tightly suppressed on themselves. Make yourself unable to stretch your body, or even have difficulty breathing. I don't know how long it took under the pressure of these two mountains. Chang'an suddenly saw a ray of sunlight piercing his eyes. Moment. The dream is broken. Chang'an, who was sleeping, opened his eyes. Then he narrowed his eyes due to the stimulation of the direct sunlight. Did you actually sleep until dawn? Chang'an avoided tilting his head. Open the place where the sun shines. Then he felt it. Something is pressing on my chest. He looked down. I found it pressing on my chest. Surprisingly, it was the heads of these two little guys, Leah and Yaya. Good guys, the case is solved. It turns out that there were two big mountains weighing me down in my dream. It's you two guys. These two little guys are really close to me. You really think of me as their father. Do not know why. Looking at the two cuties leaning against him on the left and right, Chang'an suddenly felt an inexplicable sense of warmth. It was as if these two little guys were really his daughters. An illusion of a complete life arises in my heart. Good guy. Not only do they think of me as their father now, even I regard me as their father. Obviously I'm still single and don't even have a girlfriend. Chang'an is aware of his own mentality. I couldn't help but feel a little bit dumbfounded. This is engraved in the DNA of men. Is the gene for wanting to be someone else's dad at work. Can't give in, can't give in. Keep your heart well guarded. You don't even have a girlfriend yet. How could you just start thinking of yourself as a daddy? Chang'an is in the heart. A fierce battle with my own thoughts. I want to get rid of this emotion of thinking of myself as Leah and Yaya's father. But just then, well, Yaya, who was sleeping on Chang'an's right, opened her eyes. And turned to look at Chang'an, and looked into Chang'an's eyes. Ah, father. Yaya was startled. Get up from Chang'an quickly. He explained to Chang'an very nervously. Yes, I'm sorry, father. Did I make you unhappy? I apologize to you, please don't be angry, okay. The idea of resistance in Chang'an's heart immediately began to waver. Being a father to such a cute, sensible and obedient little guy. It seems, maybe not unintentional. The idea just came to me. Leah on the other side also woke up. But it was different from Yaya's nervousness and fear. After waking up, Leah saw Chang'an looking at them. He flew over and hugged Chang'an's head. He put his whole body on Chang'an's face and said, Father, good morning. It was really hard on you yesterday. Leah is very grateful to her father for his efforts. Moment. Chang'an's thoughts of resistance have begun to waver in his heart. It disappeared into thin air, leaving nothing behind. Such two cute little guys are here. What's wrong with being a father to them and protecting them well? I will protect these two little guys. Jesus can't stop me, I said so. However, although he has been completely captured by the two little guys. But Chang'an did not realize it. He picked up Leah and put this guy next to Yaya. Then he sat up and said, Since everyone is awake, let's get up. It's time to fulfill the feast I promised you yesterday. Is there anything in particular you want to eat? I'll cook it for you. I want to eat meat. Leah jumped up, flying in the air, shouted happily. The fairy queen should eat meat. As long as it's meat, I like to eat it. I can do whatever my father does. Yaya's face was also full of expectation. Apparently the same as Leah. I really want to taste the dishes made by Chang'an. Okay, in that case, I will cook a big meal for you today. Chang'an walked to the kitchen confidently. Pick up the food you have stored up. I carefully prepared this meal, the feast promised to Leah and Yaya. Of course, it is said to be a feast, but it is not. Because I live alone in the suburbs. If you don't master the art of cooking, you will just starve. Chang'an has also honed his cooking skills to a certain level. But this level, it's just below the level of home-cooked food. If you want to make a Manchu Han banquet or various famous secret recipes, you really don't have that level. But it doesn't matter, even if it's home-cooked food, as long as you make enough. It can also be called a feast. That's it, with that thought. Fried meat with green pepper, salted chicken, braised fish. One after another common Kyushu home-cooked dishes were cooked by Chang'en. And Leah and Yaya watched the dishes being served. I feel a little unable to hold back anymore. Leah, what is this? Lying on the table, looking at the braised chicken in front of me. Smell the aroma of the broiler combined with the seasonings. Yaya couldn't help but ask Leah. Leah looked at the braised chicken. He couldn't help but swallowed a mouthful of saliva and said, "This, father told me, this is coon meat, so it's coon meat. It looks delicious. Can I have a taste of it?" While talking to Leah again. Yaya's eyes turned into chickens. Leah gulped again. Same as Yaya, Leah now also wants to start enjoying the food directly. But reason still restrained her desire. She hugged Yaya. Even if he controls Yaya, he also controls himself. No way. Wait until father also sits down. We can eat together. Yeah, I know. Yaya nodded hard, turning his head away with a sad face. As much as possible, try not to look at the food on the table. Waiting for the end of Chang'en with Leah. These two little guys are so sensible. You actually know how to wait for me to come and eat together. Chang'en sees all this. My heart is both gratified and happy. So, in order not to let these two little guys continue to endure torture, he finished the rest of the dishes as quickly as possible. Then he took out 3 more cups and placed them in front of the 3 of them. One person poured a full glass of drinks. Then he sat on the table and said, "Okay, now, let's start celebrating. Yeah, I can finally eat it. Coon meat, I want to eat coon meat. That's all." The happy meal of the father and daughter trio has begun. After a full meal, Leah and Yaya were lying on the rocking chairs, rocking the rocking chair with a leisurely expression. His face was full of relaxation and contentment. Enjoy your leisure time after the meal. This made Chang'en realize. Now is a great time to use strengthening points to strengthen the two of you. So, he looked at Leah and Yaya and said, "Leah, Yaya, I have an ability that can strengthen you too. Would you like to try to be strengthened?" The two little guys lying on the rocking chairs stopped shaking immediately. Then it was like I remembered something. I was very embarrassed and said to Chang'en, "Speaking of this, father, actually after yesterday's time, the two of us have become stronger." Did the two of them become stronger yesterday? When did this happen? Chang'en was stunned, but it soon occurred to me why. Yesterday, I planted more than 100 trees. Leah as the spirit of the forest. It will definitely become stronger because of this. As for why Yaya becomes stronger, Chang'en is not very clear. But he knew that it must be related to the increase in the total number of trees in the forest. After thinking about this, he nodded, looked at Leah and Yaya and said, "You became stronger because of the trees I planted, right? Can I see your current attribute panel?" "Sure." Leah was very proactive, showed his attribute panel to Chang'en. Name, Leah. Occupation, Fairy Queen. Level 20 King, 100%. Power, 1000. Stamina, 1000. Agility, 1100. Intelligence, 1200. Spirit, 1200. In addition to changes in levels and attributes, Leah's talents, traits, skills and other abilities remain unchanged. But even so, it's just a change in attributes. It's enough to make Chang'en envious. The improvement of king level units is really terrifying. It's just level 20. The attributes have already exceeded those of many level 60 naked professionals. What if I get another 10 or 20 levels? Isn't Leah going to surpass the Death Reaper? Become my strongest combat unit? After sighing in my heart for a while, Chang'en continued to look at Yaya's property panel. Open black lens bracket. Name close black lens bracket, Yaya. Occupation, natural mage. Level 15 elite. Open black lens bracket. Power close black lens bracket, 180. Stamina, 180. Agility, 185. Intelligence, 245. Open black lens bracket. Spirit close black lens bracket, 245. Features condensed essence. Skills, swarm attack, entangled vines, thorn vines. Yaya's level has also been raised to level 15. And it has grown from an ordinary unit to an elite unit. What an unexpected surprise. Chang'an was very happy. But soon, his eyes fell on it. Yaya's condensed essence characteristic. What essence is the essence mentioned in the name of this characteristic? Could it be just the essence of nature I need to plant a tree? Chang'an couldn't help but click on this feature. View the specific properties of this feature. Features condensed essence. Open black lens bracket effect close black lens bracket. 1. When in the forest, a certain amount of natural essence will be automatically condensed every day according to the scope and area of the forest. The current amount that can be condensed is 15 drops per day. 2. It can dissolve natural crystals into natural essence, and each crystal can be converted into 50 drops of natural essence. Look at the attribute introduction of this feature. Chang'an was delighted. The essence of this feature is in its name. It is indeed the essence of nature as I thought. But it's a pity. The amount of natural essence that can be condensed by this characteristic of Yaya is not much. It's just 15 drops a day. Fortunately, this number is not fixed. But it will become more as the forest area expands. However, among this feature, the ability to dissolve natural crystals into natural essence. But it's an ability worth noting. I remember, it's one of Leah's special effects. You can condense one natural crystal every day, right? If the natural crystals condensed by Leah are dissolved by Yaya, doesn't it mean that I can produce 65 drops of natural essence every day? Even 65 drops. This number is still not much. But this is a hope. A hope that I can escape the dilemma of having to buy natural essences from others. Yaya, the natural essence you will condense from now on. Can you leave it all to me to plant trees? Chang'an asked Yaya for her opinion. Yaya nodded without hesitation. If father wants it, of course you can. So good. Chang'an touched Yaya's head happily. A smile immediately broke out on Yaya's face. But this made Leah next to her unhappy. Father, I can also give you the natural crystals I condense every day. Chang'an was about to ask Leah for natural crystals. Immediately he stopped talking, but treat it like a bud. He gently touched Leah's lips and said, Leah is so good. Hey. Leah also had a smile on her face. Give the two little guys a good pat on the head. After satisfying the two little guys, Chang'an continued to speak. Okay, the chat time is over. Now, it's time for us to start strengthening. Are you ready? Ready. Leah and Yaya immediately sat upright. The two little faces looked at Chang'an seriously. Chang'an also opens the enhancement panel. Leah and Yaya were selected. Strengthening the special unit. Leah requires 2 strengthening points. Only attributes can be strengthened. Do you want to confirm? Close black lens bracket. Strengthening the special unit. Yaya requires 2 strengthening points. The level position will be randomly strengthened. Do you want to confirm? Close black lens bracket. Everything about Yaya's enhancement options works fine. But Leah's enhancement options. But it's just the attribute. What is this scenario? Chang'an thought for a long time. The reason can only be attributed to Leah's king level rank. It should be like a Death Reaper above level 60 who cannot continue to level up. After the target reaches the king level, you can no longer continue to strengthen your level and rank. We can only strengthen the attributes. There is not much difference between enhanced attributes and enhanced levels. After all, the strengthening of both is reflected in the increase in attributes. So, start strengthening now. Chang'an confirmed the enhancements for Leah and Yaya. And with the strengthening of determined execution, Leah and Yaya reacted immediately. I've become stronger. But only a little stronger. It doesn't feel like anything special. Leah was a little disappointed, not satisfied with the magnitude of the increase. But Yaya's reaction was huge. Aha, so awesome. The power in my body is constantly emerging. It feels just like yesterday. Moment. Leah's eyes widened. She looked at Yaya, whose face was red. He looked at Chang'an in disbelief and said, why does Yaya get more power than I get? Could it be, Father, do you no longer love me? Chang'an did not respond to Leah. Instead, take a look at the prompt. The special unit, Leah, has been strengthened successfully, with an additional 100 points of mental attribute, increased from 1200 to 1300. Close black lens bracket. The special unit, Yaya, has been strengthened successfully. The random enhancement item is level. The current level has been raised from level 15 to level 25. Close black lens bracket. Obviously all 2 strengthening points are used, but Leah only increased her intelligence attribute points by 100 points. Yaya, on the other hand, has directly increased by 10 levels. No wonder the reaction between the two was so huge. However, now is not the time to focus on this. Chang'an looked at Leah, who was doubtful about life, and said, "No, I'm not biased. The reason why this happens is because you are too strong. The reinforcement I give you won't have much effect on you. So this is I thought you didn't love me anymore, father." Li Yadan breathed a long sigh of relief. Then he waved his little hand and said generously, "In that case, then there's no need to strengthen me next time. Let's all strengthen Yaya. She is so weak now, she really needs to be strengthened." What Leah said was exactly what Chang'an wanted to do. The same strengthening point consumption. The enhancement and improvement brought about are worlds apart. In this case, naturally, he had to give up strengthening Leah. Leah took the initiative to say this. It saves Chang'an the trouble of doing ideological work for Leah. Then, in the coming time, Chang'an cancelled the subsequent strengthening of Leah. Instead, Yaya started the second and third strengthening. The 2 enhancements and 1 enhancement are at the level 1 enhancement level. After 2 reinforcements, Leah goes directly from level 15 to elite level. It has been upgraded to the level 35 boss level. Chang'an also consumed 18 strengthening points. There are only 28 strengthening points left in hand. Unable to obtain the 32 strengthening points required for the 4th strengthening of the barbarian. Therefore, Chang'an ended the strengthening of Yaya. Turning to look at Yaya's attributes. Open black lens bracket. Name close black lens bracket, Yaya. Occupation natural mage. Level 35 boss level. Open black lens bracket. Power close black lens bracket 640. Stamina 640. Agility 685. Intelligence 690. Open black lens bracket. Spirit close black lens bracket 710. Characteristics condensed essence, Dryad leader. Skills violent swarm, vine storm, thorny world, arrival of the tree realm, crazy growth, wild plants, natural resurrection. Compared to level 15, now Yaya not only has a huge increase in various attributes, the quantity and quality of skills have also been significantly improved. In addition, there is an extra one. Can enhance the Triad leader characteristic of all friendly Dryad units. It can be said that a shotgun is exchanged for a cannon, and the strength is greatly increased. If you don't count the undead army, Chang'an is now in front of Yaya. It is estimated that it will only end up being killed instantly. Now, in Windhen City, Leah and Yaya are both strong enough to protect themselves. For Yaya's strength improvement, Chang'an is very satisfied. Feng'an City is just a small city. The level of the masters in the city is generally below or above level 50. Even the city lord, the strongest person in the city, none of them have exceeded the limit of level 60. With Leah and Yaya's current strength, definitely capable of protecting yourself in the absence of the undead army. Certainly, if you can protect yourself well, you can protect yourself well. The trees that need to be planted and the work that needs to be done still need to be done. Leah, give your natural crystals to Yaya. Yaya, dissolve Leah's natural crystals into natural essence. Today, we continue to plant trees. Holding a shovel and 2 little guys, Leah and Yaya. Chang'an continued to plant trees. Of course, this time the tree planting work. It's not the sleepless mode like before to earn strengthening points, but all kinds of stops. A relaxing and casual mode with occasional breaks. Wumong Mountain is connected to the mountains outside the mountain, and the moonlight shines on Shongshui Beach. Leah and Yaya were sitting on the canopy of the oak tree, singing happily the songs that Chang'an brought from another world. Listening to the sweet singing of the 2 little guys, Chang'an couldn't help but speed up the planting movements in his hands. One standard planting hole after another was dug by Chang'an. Oak seed after oak seed was thrown into the planting hole. Finally, it's all in Chang'an's constant dripping of natural essence. Take root and sprout rapidly at a speed visible to the naked eye. In a very short time, grow into a qualified oak sapling. And every oak sapling cultivated by Chang'an's hard work. They also brought corresponding reports to Chang'an. Successfully planted and survived an oak tree, the power of balance was triggered, 10 skeleton soldiers LV10 were inspired and were summoned to this world by you. Close black lens bracket. The cumulative number of planted and surviving oak trees reached 490, the power of balance broke out, and 5 zombies LV20 were inspired and summoned to this world by you. Close black lens bracket. Successfully planted and survived an oak tree, the power of balance was triggered, 10 skeleton soldiers LV10 were inspired and were summoned to this world by you. Close black lens bracket. In this way, oak trees are being planted. In the process of accumulating an army of undead by constantly relying on balanced talents. Chang'an successfully cultivated and planted the 500th oak tree. The moment the 500th oak tree is recognized by the balanced talent. In front of Chang'an's eyes, a completely different prompt appeared than before. Successfully planted and survived an oak tree, the power of balance was triggered, 10 skeleton soldiers LV10 were inspired and were summoned to this world by you. Close black lens bracket. The cumulative planted and surviving oak trees reached 500, and the power of balance broke out. 5 zombies LV20, 4 ghosts LV30, and 3 black warriors LV40 were inspired and summoned to this world by you. The cumulative number of planted and surviving oak trees reaches 500, the power of balance breaks out, a bone dragon LV70 is inspired and is summoned to this world by you. Close black lens bracket. The skeleton soldier in the first prompt, and the summons of walking corpses and ghosts in the second prompt did not surprise Chang'an. The summoning of the walking dead requires 10 oak trees. There are 50 ghost trees and 100 black warrior trees. So the integers of 50 and 100 are not reached. There will be a summons of this scale. But that last tip, what is this? Bone dragon. The balanced power of accumulated 500 oak trees explodes. Actually summoned bones, or rather, the number of oak trees that need to be planted to summon a level 70 undead like the bone dragon. Only 500 trees are enough. You know, it has been more than 100 years since the appearance of the marks of the heavens. The strongest group of professionals in mankind at present. He was only in his early 70s. It's just a level below level 75. And myself, only 500 oak trees were planted. Just summoned a level 70 undead. And still loyal, even if you order it to die. The kind who will commit suicide obediently. This is really, tie pants are hot. Look at the prompt to summon the bone dragon. Chang'an's face showed obvious excitement. Let me see this level 70 bone dragon. What does it look like? Chang'an's heart moved. With the fastest speed, I found the unit with the strongest spiritual link. And gave him an order. Moment, the majestic breath of death gushes out from the oak forest. The entire oak forest is rendered as creepy as a ghostly forest. Immediately afterwards, there was a deafening roar. One head is tens of meters long and has a wingspan of hundreds of meters. A skeletal beast that was almost larger than the entire oak forest. Like a disembodied ghost, breaking out of the oak forest. And after passing through all the oak trees above the earth's surface, turned into a huge dark cloud. The entire oak forest is covered. Hiss. Is this the level 70 bone dragon? How is it different from the weak chicken bone dragon in my impression? Looking at the huge behemoth in the sky, Chang'an couldn't help but gasped. In a certain game that Chang'an played in his previous life, things like bone dragons are only slightly stronger than death knights. Even sometimes, it is possible but not a death knight. But now, there is this skull dragon above his head. Let alone a death knight. Even if a dozen or even dozens of death knights come together, you may not be able to defeat this skull dragon. This bone dragon is so powerful. The more powerful the better. The bone dragon is his own summon. The more powerful it is, the more powerful it is. If it is directly invincible in the world, then he would be invincible in the world. So after a brief period of shock and surprise, Chang'an soon felt only excitement in his heart. While Chang'an was excited, the bone dragon after soaring in the sky, he landed in front of Chang'an with a boom. That huge skull, almost the size of a villa, respectfully stick to the ground. the ghostly blue soul leaping among the skeletons and skulls. He also cooperated and sent a burst of friendly and flattering emotions to Chang'an. Okay. Looking at him prostrate in front of him. The bone dragon who constantly conveys to himself the meaning of flattery and closeness. Chang'an's face showed obvious excitement. Before, I only had death knights in my hands. Chang'an doesn't have much sense of security in his heart. After all, there are not many level 60 professionals. But there are also quite a few. At most, they can only ensure their own safety in a small place like Windhen City. Even in a place like a provincial capital, they all have different ways of ensuring their own safety. But now, I have a level 70 bone dragon in hand. Not to mention the provincial capital, even the capital is among the strongest. As for the stronger batch of professionals above level 70, now they are all sitting on the battlefield at the front line of Scars of the Sky. If there are no particularly major problems in the rear area, those level 70s will never come to the rear area. Therefore, I have a level 70 bone dragon in hand. Chang'an is equivalent to owning it. The power of the top professionals outside the frontline battlefield of Scars of the Sky. It belongs to the category of top experts. Can walk sideways in all areas except the front lines of the Scars of the Heavens. It's just the summons that 500 oak trees brought to Chang'an. If we continue to plant more oak trees, increase the number of oak trees to 1,000 or 2,000. It can even grow to the level of 10,000, 100,000, or 1 million. What kind of undead creatures can be summoned? Dracolich, messengers of death, and even undead souls transformed by gods. Or maybe it's a god of death. Chang'an doesn't know the next equilibrium outbreak. How powerful undead creatures will it bring to themselves? The only thing he could figure out. As long as you continue to plant trees. At most, only 500 more trees need to be planted. Summon 2 more death knights and a bone dragon. Just in a one-on-one situation. Use the undead army in your hands to defeat any professional in mankind so far. And this is in the process of planting 500,000 oak trees. There will be no such thing as summoning death knights and bone dragons. The balanced burst phenomenon that summons new summons. If the equilibrium explosion phenomenon is triggered during this process, summoned a level 80 undead creature, then he can only be directly invincible to the entire world. Become the strongest in this entire world. When I become the strongest person in this world, I must take my undead army to the front lines of the Marks of the Sky. Give them a little necromancer shock. He reached out and pressed the bone dragon's skull, which was exuding a deep chill. Chang'an's thoughts flew far, far into the future. While Chang'an was thinking about this, Leah and Yaya sitting on the canopy of the tree. He also recovered from the shock caused by the appearance of the bone dragon. That big evil guy, is it also the undead summoned by Father? Looking at the huge bone dragon that meekly surrendered in front of Chang'an. Yaya's little face was full of shock. I couldn't help but ask Leah, who was more familiar with Chang'an. It should be, right. Leah's face was also full of surprise. He responded somewhat blankly. She always thought. The most powerful summon in Chang'an's hand. It's that stupid, dumb Death Knight. As a result, such a big guy popped up again today. And he also showed such an obvious gesture of surrender. How could this not surprise Leah and Yaya? Father. This big evil guy, is it also your summon? Leah and Yaya flew to Chang'an. Some are scared and some are curious. An inquiry was launched to Chang'an. Chang'an smiled and nodded. Said to Leah and Yaya. That's right, this skull dragon is also my summon. But don't worry, it's just like the other undead. I won't harm you or this forest. But it will be the same as the other undead. Guarding the safety of you in our forest. Hearing what Chang'an said, the 2 little guys were obviously relieved. But Leah said a little unhappy. Father is so awesome, I thought I could surpass those undead soon. Become the most powerful person under my father. It's up to me to protect my father from now on. Chang'an smiled and touched Leah's little head. I'm glad you want to protect me. But since you and I call me father, then I must still protect you. Let's talk about protecting me later. Leah's mouth dropped. His little face was filled with great unhappiness. But Yaya's behavior is completely different. Father. This big evil guy is so big. Then it must be able to fly very high. Yaya hugged Chang'an's arm. He said very expectantly, "Father, you can make it take us to fly very high into the sky. See what it looks like high up in the sky. Are you going to fill it up with a bone dragon and fly around?" "Don't tell me yet," said by Yaya. Chang'an immediately felt a little itchy in his heart. No matter it is the past life or this life, Chang'an has never experienced the feeling of soaring in the sky. Now, I have such a big bone dragon in my hand. Of course, I want to experience it well. What a feeling it feels to fly high into the sky while sitting on a bone dragon. This is a good idea of yours. Today, let's try to feel like flying into the sky. Chang'an praised Yaya fiercely. It's like holding a doll again. He held Yaya in his arms. Subsequently, she looked at the unhappy Leah next to her. He stretched out his other free hand and said, "Don't be unhappy. Let's go, I'll take you to the back of the bone dragon. Today, we fly. Hooray!" Leah, who was sulking, immediately smiled. He quickly flew to Chang'an. He took the initiative to let Chang'an hold him in his arms. That's all. Chang'an seemed to be holding two dolls. Hug Leah and Yaya, one on the left and the other on the right. Follow the wings of the bone dragon to the back of the bone dragon. The bone dragon was also very cooperative. Move the bones on the spine, forming a perfect seat on its own. Let Chang'an sit comfortably on the bone dragon's back. This bone dragon has quite a lot of weird abilities. Chang'an couldn't help but sigh when he flew out from under the oak forest before. It is obviously a bone dragon with a physical existence. But it rushed out from under the ground like a ghost. There is no soil for oak forests. And oak trees in oak forests cause any impact. Now it can be on the spine of my back. A perfect seat is created on site. Can only say, the bone dragon of this world. It's completely different from the bone dragon in Chang'an's impression. Except the name is bone dragon. The two are completely different from each other. Speaking of this, Chang'an suddenly remembered. From when the bone dragon was summoned to now. I haven't seen the bone dragon's attribute panel yet. Just right, let's take a look now. Chang'an opened the bone dragon's property panel. Open black lens bracket monster close black lens bracket, bone dragon. Level 70. Skills temporary ghost transformation, fear aura, death aura, advanced skeleton magic, field of decay, death gaze. Chang'an didn't finish reading the bone dragon's attribute panel. Because in its skills column, there is a long list of skills that Chang'an saw. I want to read them all. It only takes a minute or two to talk at least. But he just saw the skill that was less than 10. Sitting next to Chang'an, Leah was holding on to the armrest conjured by the bone dragon using bone magic. He shouted to Chang'an with excitement. Father, start it now. I want to fly to the sky. I want to be the queen of the sky. Bud's on the other side. He also looked at Chang'an with expectation and longing. I can't wait now. I want to experience the feeling of flying high in the sky on a bone dragon. Okay, so, that's not right. Bone dragon, activate. Roar. In a deafening roar, the extremely huge body of the bone dragon, soaring into the sky under circumstances that are extremely inconsistent with scientific common sense. Just the blink of an eye. The bone dragon flew thousands of meters into the sky. And it continues to attack higher in the sky. Wow, so awesome, so comfortable. Big guy, fly higher. Fly faster. Leah cheered excitedly. Yaya also looked around excitedly, obviously very satisfied with this. As for Chang'an, let alone that. The moment I felt the strong wind blowing in my face, Chang'an fell in love with this feeling. When you are free in the future, come and take a ride on this bone dragon plane. Experience this feeling of soaring in the sky. Chang'an made a decision in his heart. Chang'an and the three of them were soaring in the sky at the same time. In the wilderness near Windscar City. One is tall and has wheat-colored skin. He wears a bear skin on his body and wears a necklace of beast teeth on his chest. The whole person exudes a woman who is not easy to mess with and has a wild aura. We are slowly moving towards Feng'an City. We've arrived at Winhen City. Keep going another 100 kilometers. I can reach the frontline battlefield of the Scar of the Sky. My professional advancement mission has officially begun. Looking at the approaching Feng'an City ahead, Yu Ran muttered a few words to himself. Just like a level 20 professional specialization needs to enter a specialization dungeon. Professional advancement tasks for professionals to break through from level 60 to level 61. You need to go to the frontline battlefield of Scars of the Sky. Go and fight the monsters that emerge from the Scars of the Sky. Only in the process of fighting those monsters, only in this way can you successfully complete career advancement. Step into the field where the strongest professionals belong. It's been a while since she reached level 60. The purpose of this trip to the frontline battlefield of Scars of the Sky. Just to take the last step to become a top powerhouse. However, it is not a simple matter to complete the professional advancement. Many people have been fighting on the frontline battlefield of Scars of the Sky for several years or even more than 10 years. They haven't even taken this last step. But she has confidence in herself. Because of her profession. It is a hidden profession among the druid professions. Rely on the existence of this hidden profession. When she first entered the Emerald Dream, he was favored by a natural goddess and received blessings from the gods. I am the strongest student at Tianfu Druid Academy. It only took 8 years to advance from level 1 to level 60. Those students who have been in the academy for more than 10 years are all inferior to me. Even beings like gods take me very seriously. So, I will definitely be able to upgrade from level 60 to level 61 in one go. Complete my professional advancement mission. Looking at the direction of the battlefield on the front line of the Traces of the Sky. Yu Erin's eyes are full of confidence and pride. But just then, through the blessing of the natural goddess, Yu Ran suddenly sensed an extremely huge aura of death. Undead can emit such a powerful breath of death. Only powerful undead are born and large-scale undead riots occur. Or maybe it's the underworld ritual of the fallen necromancer that will appear. Windscar City is a city that provides logistics for the front line. The sweep of the surrounding areas is even more diligent than that of the cities further back. Powerful undead and undead riots appear in such places. That chance is almost slim. So, the source of this huge death aura. It must be because of the Hades ritual performed by the fallen necromancer. Hades ritual. This is an ability that the necromancer masters at level 60. Once the ritual is completed, communication with the underworld takes place. Quote, hundreds of thousands of undead will emerge overnight. Kill all living creatures in the surrounding area. And then feed back a lot of energy to the necromancer. Help the necromancer complete the breakthrough from level 60 to level 61. Therefore, there are some death mages who are stuck at level 60 and have been unable to break through. Or choose to fall into evil ways and use this method to make a breakthrough. For this kind of necromancer, the collective name of mankind is the Fallen. The breath of death has just erupted, it should be when the ceremony has just begun. It's still too late to take action now. Looking at the direction from which the breath of death came, Yu Ran's eyes gradually became determined. We can talk about going to the frontline battlefield of Scars of the Sky later. But he must not be allowed to complete the Hades ritual of the Fallen. Yu Ran changed her original plan to move forward. Rush towards the direction where the breath of death is erupting. This is the source of the death aura. This must be the place where the Fallen One held the Hades ritual. On the hills outside the oak forest, Yu Ran followed the aura of death. Stopped here. Observe the situation of this forest carefully. Trying to find the necromancer who is performing the Hades ritual. But she searched carefully for a while. The existence of the necromancer was not discovered. Instead, I discovered another noteworthy point. All the trees in this forest. They are all worshipped by nature professionals as the incarnation of the supreme god. And it is also the oak tree that is most likely to give birth to natural creatures such as forest souls, dryads, goblins, and tree ants. If it weren't for the source of the breath of death, right in this oak forest, some say it was a secluded residence for druids. Yu Ran will not have the slightest doubt. But here is the source of that breath of death. Therefore, in Yu Ran's heart, a very common sense guess emerged. The fallen death mage who performs Hades rituals killed the druid who lived in seclusion here, and with the help of the cover of this sacred oak forest. His Hades ceremony is held here. The Fallen. How dare you hold a Hades ritual in an oak forest? This is simply a blasphemy against all natural professions. Yu Ran couldn't help but cursed angrily. Even more hatred towards the fallen death mage whom he has yet to meet. Besides, she would never be able to leave the oak forest again. What useful information was observed? This made her unable to sit still. Every second of delay, the completion progress of the Hades ritual will increase by 1 point. We can't continue like this. While the ritual in Hades has not yet been completely completed, go straight in and forcibly destroy the fallen necromancer's plan. Necromancers are among many professions. They are all relatively powerful professions. But this does not include hidden professions, special professions and rare professions. And Yuran happens to be a hidden profession among the druid professions. She did not consider herself weaker than the fallen necromancer. Therefore, after being unable to observe effective information for a long time, Yuran decided to attack directly into the oak forest. Forcibly break the necromancer's Hades ritual. Natural creatures, I need your help. Yuran shouted. The emerald green portal linking to the emerald dream. A phantom appeared behind her. Roar. Ouch. Woo. A saber-toothed tiger the size of a truck, a giant bear wearing rock armor, a mammoth as huge as a hill. A dozen huge beasts from the emerald dream pass through the emerald green portal and come to this world. Immediately afterwards, Yuran let out a terrifying roar. The whole body suddenly expanded and exploded. It turned into a giant green dragon more than 10 meters long. Natural creatures, attack with me. The green dragon transformed from the Moondai speaks human words. He took the lead and flew towards the oak forest. A dozen ferocious beasts on the ground followed closely behind. Under the leadership of Yuran, together they launched an attack in the direction of the oak forest. Yuran and the beasts charged unabashedly. It also immediately attracted the attention of the undead army under the oak forest. Kacha kacha, ooh, dong dong dong. The seemingly endless skeleton soldiers got up first, gathered into a pale ocean of bones. Subsequently, the zombies roared and the ghosts howled. The black warrior raised his black sword high. The Lish's eyes were beating with a strong death energy. A death reaper armed with a gigantic soul reaper scythe. He is standing at the forefront of all undead creatures. This time, I saw the appearance of this undead army. Yuran is more certain of her thoughts. Normal necromancers hate places with strong vitality. How could he hide his undead army in the oak forest? Only the necromancer wants to use the oak forest to cover himself. Only then would you do such a thing. Undead, return to the underworld. You should not exist in the world of the living. First, fly to the green dragon you ran above the oak forest. He opened his mouth and spat out a natural breath towards the undead army. The high concentration of life breath caused no harm to the oak tree. But after contact with the undead, it turned into a poisonous substance. Dissolve a large group of skeleton soldiers on the spot. At the same time as Yuran launched the attack, the Death Knight also rushed in front of those ferocious beasts. He raised his hand and took away the life of the mammoth with a single blow. Prevent this giant beast's rampage from causing damage to the oak forest. Those other undead creatures, they also launched attacks on the huge beasts. Keep them out of the forest. Do not allow them to enter the oak forest and cause harm to the oak forest. Only the 6 licks raised their staffs. Shoot death rays at the giant dragon in the sky. Even on the battlefield, both sides are also working hard. Avoid harming the oak trees in the oak forest. That is, under such circumstances. Chang'an takes Leah and Yaya flying in the sky. I received the feeling that the undead army under my command was fighting with people. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe my channel.